It's 1 o'clock. If everyone can find their way, those that should be up here and those that need to take their seats. I'm swimming in paperwork up here. More since I just stepped away for a minute. Going to give a second for everyone to settle. Today we have the privilege of having Pastor Richard Denson with us from Gulf to Lake Church in Crystal River. He will lead us in the invocation, and I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you will all rise with me, please. Welcome, Pastor. Come up to the front, please.
Do we need to press something?
Sure.
Okay. It's already on. Oh, it's already on. Sweet, perfect. Let's pray. Dear Jesus, we thank you for another day of life. We thank you for another day that your mercies are made new. We thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and to pray. Father, I pray that for every single person here as business and discussions and things that are going to go on, Lord, I pray that they would be glorifying to you. Lord, that you would grant wisdom to those who are in charge of making decisions and discussions and all the things that are going to go on. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. Lord, we want to give you praise, honor, and glory because you are worthy of it. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Thanks again, Pastor. Nice to meet you. Excuse me for a minute, because sometimes people put a lot of things up here. Does anyone know where this came from? We get all organized and then things just happen to appear.
You don't have to read that one.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Bob. And do we know where this one came from?
Curtis Bryant.
Okay, thank you. Y'all need to start putting your names on here. I get all organized before the meeting, and then things just get thrown up here in the front. Okay, Madam Clerk?
Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I would just point out to anyone putting things up on the dais, if they don't go through the clerk, they don't get included in the record. So if they want them to be included in the record, it has to go to the clerk.
Thank you. Did you get copies of both?
I received Curtis Bryant. I did not receive the other one.
I think I have an extra one up here, so
Okay, thank you.
can you pass this to the clerk? Thank you.
And Madam Attorney, shouldn't everything always be in the record when it's given to us up here?
It should, yes, ma'am, it should
Okay,
be
you
made
said
part.
you said if they want, and I said, clarifying, isn't it supposed to be?
It's easier for the clerk to maintain it, but each of the commissioners can certainly maintain those public records as well if they have them in their possession.
Thank you.
And whenever you're ready.
Thank you. This is a regular meeting of Citrus County Board of County Commissioners the 10th day of February, 2026. In attendance are Chair Diana Finnegan, First Vice Chair Jana Barrett, Second Vice Chair Jeff Kennard, Commissioner Rebecca Bays, Commissioner Holly Davis, Assistant County Administrator Maricel Rodriguez, County Attorney Denise Diamond Lynn.
Thank you. And Ms. Rodriguez, any additions or deletions to our agenda?
We do. We have item E4. We added the City of Inverness sign lease. For item E5, the TANA compactor purchase, we've added the purchase agreement, the warranty and maintenance agreement, and the Florida Sheriff's Association letter. And for item I4, for the presentation at 2:15, we've added the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation. That concludes.
Thank you. Board?
Motion to approve the agenda with the additional information as noted.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Barrick. Any public comment? Any further board comment? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Proclamations and awards. Looks like we have 3.
Motion to approve B1, 2, and 3.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Barrick. Any public comment? Any further board comment? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Please walk to the front with me, board.
Would all those representing National Children's Dental Health Month please make your way forward?
Well, thank you.
Whereas the Florida Department of Health and Citrus County are leaders in the promotion of good dental hygiene and oral health for children. In Citrus County last year, more than 1,500 children received dental services and preventative care through the department's school-based and outreach dental programs. In August 2025, DOH Citrus distributed more than 8,100 dental kits to Citrus County students in middle school and high school. And whereas poor oral hygiene impacts not only our children's smile, but also their ability to learn, grow, and flourish. And whereas proper nutrition and avoiding sugary drinks and food, along with flossing and brushing twice a day, can improve children's teeth, smiles, and overall health. And whereas National Children's Dental Health Month is an opportunity for Citrus County citizens to unite to make dental hygiene a priority for all children, improving our health in our community one smile at a time. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Citrus County, Florida, does hereby designate the month of February 2026 as National Children's Dental Month, executed this 10th day of February 2026.
She's our rock star. Grandma.
Thank you for taking the time to recognize this important health observance. I'd like to take a moment to shine a light on the incredible work being done by the Florida Department of Health's School Health Dental Program here in Citrus County. As outlined in Florida Statute 381.0056, 5A, each county health department is tasked with developing a school health services plan that includes a preventive dental program. I'm proud to say that the Florida Department of Health, along with the Citrus County Schools, has not only met this requirement, but has gone above and beyond. During the 2024-2025 school year, our dedicated team provided preventive dental services to more than 1,500 students, not only in schools, but also at outreach sites throughout the county. These services included dental screenings, cleanings, sealants, fluoride treatments, nutritional counseling, oral hygiene instruction, and referrals for further care. Every student also received a dental care kit to take home. In total, we delivered over 6,300 individual services valued at more than $323,000 if provided in a private dental setting. That's a tremendous impact and a testament to the value of public health programs in our community. We also made it a priority to ensure that every student in our middle schools, high schools, and even our local technical school started the year right with the tools that they need for good oral health. Our team assembled and distributed over 8,000 dental goodie bags, a small gesture with a big impact. This program thrives because of the incredible support that we receive from school staff, nurses, and administrators who understand the importance of oral health in a child's overall well-being. We're also proud to be active in the community, participating in events like teen nights, disaster preparedness fairs, Mommy and Me groups, and WIC programs, where we continue to share resources and promote healthy habits. But our work is far from over. Last school year, there were more than 1,200 students who visited their school clinic due to tooth or mouth pain, issues that can lead to missed school days, difficulty concentrating, and lower self-esteem. We know that oral health is directly tied to academic success and quality of life. As students grow into adults, the consequences of poor dental health can follow them, impacting their ability to work, thrive, and live pain-free. That's why our mission remains clear: to protect, promote, and improve the oral health of every student in Citrus County. Because healthy mouths lead to healthy lives, and every child deserves a chance to smile with confidence. Thank you.
I will have to tell you all, I vividly remember the Department of Health coming in when I was in grade school and how wonderful the program was, and thank you all. You did a great thing.
Would all those representing 211 Day. Please make your way forward. Whereas 211 is a vital service that connects individuals and families to essential community resources, including housing, food, assistance, mental health services, disaster relief, and more. And whereas 211 is available 24/7, 365 days a year, providing confidential and free assistance to millions of people across the United States and Canada who are in need of help. And whereas highly trained 211 specialists offer critical support to individuals facing personal crises, financial hardship, and emergencies, ensuring they receive the resources necessary to improve their well-being and stability. And whereas the 211 network plays a key role in disaster response and recovery efforts, working alongside local, state, and national organizations to provide real-time information and assistance during emergencies. And whereas 211 helps strengthen communities by connecting people to essential services, reducing barriers to support, and promoting collaboration among nonprofits, government agencies, and businesses. Now, therefore, the Citrus County Board of County Commissioners do hereby proclaim February 11, 2026 as 211 Day. Encourage all residents to recognize and support the critical work of 211 in strengthening our community. Executed this 10th day of February, 2026.
Madam Chair just said she knows I'm saying a few words. Commissioners, thank you for this proclamation. Second year in a row. This is great. We want as many people in our community to know about 211 as possible. And let me thank board members that we have here from our United Way here in Citrus County. And we also have members of our Citrus Health Improvement Plan Effective Communications Committee. I think I got that right. And also hat tip to the Citrus County Community Charitable Foundation. They're a great partner in helping keep 211 going in our community. It's a vital resource. It is the help and referral line in our community when people have some sort of need that they believe that maybe a government agency might be able to help or a nonprofit agency might be able to help, and they don't know where to turn. So they can call 211. And there's 180 nonprofit churches, governmental organizations that are registered there on 211. Now, sometimes I hear a little pushback. People will say things like, well, we need an app for that, or we need a website, or we need to just have people search Google. And I'll often hear people raise these objections because they say, young people don't like to talk on the telephone anymore. Well, listen, if you get to an agency by way of an app or Google or whatever, you're going to need to talk to somebody at some point. And 211 is a live person on the other end of that phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. To direct you in the right place. People also say, well, we need printed referral guides of services in the community. Take it from me, after 28 years in the nonprofit sector, as soon as I hit print, that referral guide is obsolete. And so we need people to know about 211. We need agencies in our community to continue registering for that. It costs them nothing. And we need them to keep their information up to date so that when our Alice households are in need, they know where to turn. They can call 211. They can come to our door. They can go to the door of many nonprofits. It's an open door, and it's a valuable one. So thank you once again for the proclamation. Thank you to our Citrus County Health Department and our 4CF and our team at United Way for keeping this valuable service going in our community. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Just wanted to present the Board of County Commissioners and, of course, the building, LGB, this commemorative magazine cover set that we just launched last week. We're very excited about it. We believe all three covers show the county off really well, from Inverness all the way to Homosassa to Crystal River. It represents the community very well, and excited to present this to BOCC as something to hang up proudly when the people and the residents and visitors alike come into our buildings and explore everything Citrus County has to offer. I just want to say one last thing. I know I have Nick Popham here on staff, Terry Natwick, Christina Lamb, Kelly Miller, and Stephanie Earhart. They all made this event possible and made these covers possible. So this 100% could not have been done without them. So this is for you all, and also have a couple of T-shirts. Commissioner Barrick, I think you're going to like one of the mentions in that T-shirt too as well. We added a few more communities because we are more than just a core four. So this is a presentation for you guys. So we have Inverness watercolor, which is of the downtown area, overshot. Of course, the beautiful manatee, and we have Seven Sister Springs and Chadwick River. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yes. I mean, we can do it this way too.
I'm a little disappointed that we don't have them do the done.
It's a little safer this way.
Thank you.
Thanks, August, and thank you to PDC staff.
Let's see, we're at 1:15. All right, moving right along to the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kennard, second by Commissioner Davis. Any public comment? Any board discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We are at open to the public. Reese, are we back to number 1 on the cards from this morning? Okay. If you have number 1, please come to the front. Remember, you have 3 minutes to speak at the podium unless you have a letter on file, and then let us know, and the clerk will check that, and then you will be allowed 5 minutes. The card should be in number order. If you are, let's say, number 2, as we have number 1, you may want to take a seat so you'd be next in line, but we're going to try to keep you all comfortable. Hello, sir.
Skater Bob, Floral City. I want to take some time to talk about data centers, and I want to make this presentation unbiased. It's presenting facts or potential facts, but it's not making a statement for or against. This is trying to be as neutral as possible. So at first glance, you might think of a data center as a new business era for Citrus County. It provides new employment opportunities. It supports local economic development. And it's an excellent use of commercial and industrial space. And finally, it's an excellent use of our natural resources. I think it's all true. Potentially has that. Unfortunately, data centers are not like traditional manufacturing and service types industries. There will be employment during the construction phase, and these are massive facilities. But the truth is they require very, very low local employment. They're interconnected globally around the world, and they can mostly be maintained and operated remotely. So in terms of the perception of getting a lot of local employment, increasing it, it's extremely minimal. Data centers are composed of thousands and thousands of computers. They all require power. So there are 3 major categories of data centers. The first is an enterprise, which probably is a candidate. The average amount of power for a small data center is 15 million watts continually, 24/7. That's equivalent to 12,000 homes. It's like putting 12,000 homes vacated, no one living in there, in Citrus County. and it's 24/7. The medium size, and over time they'll grow, these they'll propagate more and more and more. It would probably go to a co-location type of facility. A co-location type data center would be equivalent to the power consumption of 81,000 homes, which is about half of our population right now. That's how much power is required. The hyperscale, the large one, and over time, maybe 10 or 15 years, they'll morph into something, 1 million megawatts, and that's over 800,000 homes. So we got to be careful. We have to look at this with open minds. We really do, to understand how much power is required. I kind of like to turn the clock back. I don't know how many people have Duke Power. We have several power companies, but I've received a text during the freeze that Duke Power was very concerned about their ability to service the entire load, and they were encouraging people to use alternate power sources and not run appliances at all to get through the freeze. That gives you an idea of we were at that time on the threshold of the maximum power capability generation of Duke Power for Citrus County. If you add a data center, it is going to absolutely require a new installation at Citrus County. Two things: data centers require cooling, which is going to require a lot of water, and it's going to require a lot of power. So I'll continue on the second part of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Number 2, please. Does anyone have a green card filled out with a number 2 on it? Would anyone else like to speak at open to the public? You have 4? I have 3. Oh, number 2 is absconded. Okay. Hello, Mr. Hutterly.
Hutterly?
Hut.
Chuck Hutterly, Inverness. Hillsborough County has started to record some wells that have run dry. Swift Mud has set up a register to record wells run dry. I don't know how many wells are dry now in Citrus County, but I'm going to be checking on that and trying to discover. When the data center says it uses a massive amount of water, I'm worried about that. We have enough drawdown with all the developments, which are good, has been happening, so on and so forth, but this is going to be an extra load on our aquifer, and I'm very concerned about that. At some point, there's I forget the geological term, but it's a block to keep salt water from coming into our aquifer. And as it draws down with this system, massive amount, think about 100-degree weather that we've had in the summertime, it's going to draw a shitload of water. And I am very concerned about that. Thank you.
Let's all remember to keep good language.
He meant to say a lot.
A lot. He meant a lot. The translation. Hi there.
Yes, hi, I'm Joe. So Deltona's application for changing 800 acres in Holder to create a 1,350-acre site. I've written you several letters now with detailed information giving you visibility, specifically to ordinances other counties have implemented so that the data centers are done correctly. And done correctly, data centers are just a humongous win for Citrus County, humongous, but done incorrectly, they're a complete debacle. So I provided you a footnoted current data center market CapEx research, Citrus and Florida tax valuations for a 75 megawatt data center, which is a relatively small one for the Holder site. The Holder site could actually go up to around 4x that, depending on the geography. But in that research that I did provide to you, I noted that it would provide $3 to $9 million annually into the Citrus County tax coffer, using however you want. And that doesn't even mention the construction and labor attraction revenues. So the Deltona site will support far, 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 far more than that. It's a very small example. I provided you consultant packages multiple specific examples of county ordinances where data centers are today, lowering citizen taxes, they're improving the quality of life for the citizens, they're providing amazing value, building schools, everything. But I also linked you specifically to information on what happens if the county does not implement it correctly. I detailed 6 areas of concern, and I then expanded the focus on 2 of the 6 areas. The current proposal for overlay Citrus County data center ordinance does allow for water-intensive cooling. Total disaster. Microsoft and Meta, those guys have visionary corporate policies towards zero water data centers. It's like the radiator in your car. You fill it up, but then it doesn't use water. The current regulation proposal doesn't include any protection against infrastructure costs shifting toward taxpayers. It does point to a completely inadequate noise standard that does not address low-frequency noise like fan blades and turbines. It allows an infinite amount of lighting under the premise of security. As long as it's for security, there's no limit. It does not address on-site power generation for peak shaving, or non-emergency use. Staff input to the Holder app does spell out that the request does allow on-site power gen. Take charge, you guys. Get some help. State and federal regulations do not respect Citrus County like we can. Citrus is amazingly focused. We got all the resources for data centers. It's amazingly focused, but you got to do it right.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Number 5.
All right, Curtis Bryant, Lecanto. That paper is going to be later on. That's not going to be for this part of it. A couple things first. You guys talked about at the strategic planning meeting doing a potential or exploring a potential MSBU, MSTU for roads. My question there is, didn't in 2024-ish, didn't we do a study for the sheriff's office to be switched over to MSTU? I think we paid $18,000 for that study to happen, and I never heard anything like what happened with that. So before we go down the road of more consultants for different things, why don't we explore that option as a potential way to shift revenue to a different fund? Data center talk, a little bit about that. I saw the proposal for the LDC. I applaud you guys for trying to get ahead of this. I had challenged you guys to do that previously, but I think we still might be a little bit behind the 8 ball here. There's a pending application, and in all my research I found that I don't think we can actually do anything to change the LDC that would apply to this project if we go down that route today. A couple court cases I found: Smith versus Clearwater, City of Jacksonville versus Caulfield, and Tampa-Hillsborough County Expressway Authority versus K.E. Morris. All of those address applications during periods of time and LDC changes, things like that, which I think limit us to not being able to do anything with that. Mr. Hicks just mentioned a potential revenue source. If this was something that we were to pursue and go down the road with, $3 to $9 million a year, kind of on the low end, I think is what he said. I implore you guys, if we end up going this route and we're looking at these tax dollars, look what happened when Duke decided to disappear, or they shut down their, they didn't disappear, they shut down their nuke plants. We scrambled in the, 2008, 2010, somewhere in that range, when all that happened, because we had used that money for years and years and years and always counted on it, and then it wasn't there anymore. So same thing here, data centers have limited lifetimes. These aren't things that are gonna be around for 40 years. They come in, they get built, and then they, as technology changes, they move away. So if we end up going this route, I implore you guys to use these funds as kind of like special reserve funds. Don't put them into projects that continually need annual revenue, because if they disappear, then we don't have that revenue going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 6. Come forward. Hi there.
Good morning, afternoon, whatever it is. My name is Kenneth Ferguson. I'm from Floral City. Data centers, magic word. Florida gets all its water from the sky. It comes from nowhere else. And their people are going to take our water, use it, and dump it in the ocean. That's not feasible in Florida. We're running out of water now, and if we keep developing at the rate we're developing, Florida's going to run out of water. Hillsborough County has already run out of water. They get their water from Osceola County. And here we got to put something in here. The only way that would work is they would have to take that water that they cool, inject it back in the earth, or we will lose water every day they have a data center in this county. It's just not feasible to put data centers like that in Florida. I don't care how many jobs it produces, how much money will people in the future will pay for it. It's just not feasible. Thank you.
Thank you. It is 1:30 and we have a time certain. Just curious, is there anybody else still has a card for open to the public? Are you the last one? Anybody besides one more? If so, I'm going to hear one and close open to the public. Come on up.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. On advice from Commissioner Kennard, I sent emails to all of you. It was pictures of a road wayside in Citrus Springs. I hope you all have it in front of you because that's what I asked. I don't know who to talk to because that road is the boundary between Ms. Barrett and Mr. Kennard. But it's also the boundary of Citrus Springs and the mini farms. As I personally do not have any property on Wayside, I am the first mini farm. I do use that road 3 to 4 times a week to get to the back of my property. Excuse me. And I know that that road hasn't been fixed. Ooh, claim my time. And I know that that road hasn't been fixed in the last 26 years. The road department does come out once in a blue moon and just spread down whatever they have left over. And then in a few weeks, they come back, pick that up, and put more down. I really hope that you all looked at the pictures because that's what they call the fixed road. They're wrong. I'm sorry. I know that this road is not in compliance with any other road in Citrus County. Wayside, as we speak right now, has 3 homes that people are living in. And that's a minimum of 6 cars that I counted. Also, in the area, there's a total of 12 homes, 3 lots that are staked, 4 lots that are being cleared, and 1's being built as we speak. So 2 cars per home. This road is going to be used a lot more. Right now, there's a total of 21 homes, and next year it could be more that use Wayside. If you or anyone of the commissioners drive down Wayside, you will be weaving back and forth. If there was a deputy behind you, they think they got a DUI arrest. It is that bad. I will leave you with this. Some of the potholes are so deep that if you would like to take a look at them, I do have 2 donkeys on my property for rent that you can go look at these holes. That's how deep they are, and I don't understand why the road people, road maintenance, does not come out and fix them, even when they're called. Also, if you look at pictures 9, 16, and 17, they are sewers on Wayside. For the last 16 years, I've taken care of them. I just want to know, where do I turn in my receipt to get my money back? If you're not going to fix it, I'm going to fix it. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We have the Director of Public Works in the audience that's hearing everything that you're saying, so thank you for your comments.
And Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am?
I just searched my email. Sir?
This is news to me.
I got the follow-up email that said, I can't be there, but I'll be there on the February 10th. Please hold the first email. I have that email. We don't have your original email, probably because you put 16, 17, 18 pictures on it. Because I'm finding your follow-up email with no pictures. So split it into several emails and resend.
There's probably a little bit more than 17 pictures.
Yeah, it didn't come through.
Okay. I'll have that to you by tomorrow, my first original email.
Thank you. Anything else? We can move ahead. All right, I'm closing open to the public. Mr. Landon.
Chair, Commissioners, Eric with Growth Management. This is going to be the first public workshop for a proposed change to impact fees. You're required to have two if you make any changes. This is coming to you, and we have it up on the screen. This summer, you adopted new impact fees with the consultant, but during the second workshop, it was brought up. There was an ask of the consultant to do an addendum to that study to add the cost of right-of-way acquisition, which had not been in the impact fees in the past. So we adopted impact fees this summer. They went active in October of last year. The consultant came back with the right-of-way acquisition costs, and in your packet, that study, it's a long study, it's 41 of his report. It's section 10.5 that provides the calculation for how they came up with right-of-way acquisition. But the table I have before you now shows what that would look like if you decided to add that in. When we last discussed this in the summer, it required a supermajority, so it required 4 of the commissioners to say yes, which you did, and it required a 90-day waiting period before it was implemented. So we did that. That's what led to the October adoption. The statute has changed since then, and now it requires a 5-0 vote. So it has to be unanimous, and it would have to be phased in over 2 years. So I say that to make sense of the table that you have on your screen. If you look at the bottom right, those are our current impact fees that were adopted and went live as of October. So you'll see the current, the 13,000, the 4,000, the 9,000. If you adopt to accept the right-of-way acquisition cost, it would be shown as year 1, which is the top table. So the top right, it would be 15,000, 5,000. So that would be year 1 of adding those costs, which would be half. It would be implemented over a 2-year season. And then the bottom table would show year 2, which would be 2027. So the one column over from the right, it would be 17,000, 5,000. We did it this way to show what the total cost would be directly compared to today's cost. So after 2 years, it would be 17,000 as opposed to 13,000, which is what we have now. When the board asked to bring it back, another item that was mentioned was incentivizing development or having reduced costs based on age. The age of the housing, the 55 and older community. So those 2 line items are highlighted in green. If the board decided to strike through those and just have the use and not the age of the ownership affect the impact fee. That's all I have. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them. I spotted 1 or 2 people in the audience that might have a thing to say about it, but I'll be happy to answer their questions too.
Board, any questions for Mr. Landon?
I'll just make a statement. In my briefing yesterday, Mr. Landon said that it was Pasco County, right, that figured out a way to get around concurrency? Was it Pasco?
Yes.
Okay. Did everybody on the board get that? Certainly the public should hear that, because if we decided to raise impact fees, it's not going to cover a lot of, stuff except new stuff, right? And it's the same thing with your other solution, which would be instead of impact fees increase, we could go this other direction, which comes out of new developments.
So if you like, I can kind of give a 30,000-foot overview.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, so for the last 2 years, we've been working through the legislature trying to get a concurrency bill, traffic concurrency bill through Tallahassee. It's made it through the House, never made it through the Senate. And then our new senator reached out, as I understand it, to the Transportation Secretary, FDOT Secretary Hall. Secretary Hall had a potential solution that has been implemented in Pasco County. The chair and I, along with a couple other staff members, were in on that call. And Secretary Hall, his solution was what Pasco has done about 8 years ago. And they claim that works. It's concurrency. It's a way to get back in without changing state law. The consultant that rewrote Pasco's comp plan is the same consultant that we have writing our comp plan right now. It would require an update of the level of service for our roads, which, thanks to Commissioner Kennard, is being done right now through our MPO. That'll be delivered July 1. So that's step one. Step two is adding the language which Secretary Hall gave us to add, basically saying the same thing that we proposed in the statute changes. The baseline will be today. We have some roads that are failing. We'll have to accept that because we'll never be able to catch up unless we find a money tree somewhere. So the baseline will be today. Moving forward, any road has to keep today's standards. It can never get worse. That was essentially the same language that we wrote for the statute recommendation. That's the same language that Secretary Hall proposed that's in Pasco's comprehensive plan. So it's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's a possibility.
I'd really like to know how I managed to bring this up 5 years ago when I first learned about concurrency and said that doesn't make sense that we have to have all passing roads. We should be able to just say, okay, it's a C. You can't make it a D or an F, right? But this is on the backs of developers, correct?
Yes. So
not individual builders. This is on the backs of developers.
It's what they call a fair share solution. So if you have an intersection with two major roads and you have 4 quadrants, and we do this currently with utilities. We have concurrency with water, sewer, and trash. If you're a new development and you're the first kid on the block, if there's capacity, great, then build. If there's not capacity, then you would have to pay your fair share to create new additional capacity. And then that's on the front end. On the back end, when actual permits are being pulled, then you would have to pay impact fees. Those impact fees would go into future expansion. If they build above and beyond what's required in their fair share, then you get impact fee credits.
Right.
And that happens all the time with utilities, where if you need a 4-inch line and they go ahead and build a 6-inch line, then you're given credit for that additional capacity.
I am, my goals, what I would like to see is for us to incentivize infill for our existing developments as much as possible. That helps our local builder economy, but it also preserves open space. You know, I'm working really hard on the land conservation aspect, so that's a really great intersection of doing the right thing by our environment and also keeping service, you know, our workload as a county, trying to provide all those services. The more people are clustered, the better, right?
Correct.
Okay, so so to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, if we do this concurrency, not concurrency, the Pasco version, then that's going to make the houses in new developments a little bit more expensive than infill on current developments.
Well, if we talked about platted lots or our strategic planning, those are vested. Those are in the door. So it would be new applications coming in that would have to pass that concurrency test.
Right.
So correct.
So Tuscany wouldn't have been in on that because they're not platted. Never mind.
But they were already vested because it had been approved decades ago.
Right. So, and then the other thing, so I am not interested in attracting more senior citizens. With all due respect to Commissioner Barrick, the problem is that we just have too many. It's a little unweighted there. And we talked about getting a definition for workforce housing, which the better workforce we have, the more senior citizens are supported for healthcare and everything else. And we talked about that at the strategic plan. So I would be interested in dropping the age restriction, but actually incentivizing multifamily housing, whether it's quadplexes to duplexes to apartments to whatever, because properly done and properly approved by us, you actually have the open space around it, right? But it makes it more affordable.
Yes. Yes, and it does incentivize multifamily. Well, it probably doesn't incentivize it. It's based on a calculation of the number of trips it generates. There's a whole manual that goes into it. But if you look at the table, multifamily, the cost per dwelling is about half of what a regular single family would be.
Yeah. So those are my goals.
I had a question.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Davis, were you finished? I'm sorry. Okay, Commissioner Barrett.
Okay, so I got a question then. You're saying Citrus Springs, Pine Ridge, and Beverly Hills would not be acceptable for this because Citrus Springs is platted, Beverly Hills is platted, and Pine Ridge is already developed.
Sorry, we changed subjects a little bit halfway through. They would not be eligible for new concurrency law if we decide to adopt it, but they are part of the impact fees.
But under this new concurrency, those roads would still fit the category, not under that category. They would not be able to be redone. So the wayside that this gentleman is talking about, where there is possibly new houses coming that already have permits, don't count, correct?
So we would have to accept the roads as they are for the concurrency. But moving forward, they could never get worse. So
So the county would have to accept those roads to be fixed under our resurfacing program, which is what we have right now.
which is exactly what we have right now, yes.
Okay. And according to our new program, we're not going to be working on research. We're only going to be redoing what we have for right now to get preservation. So Wayside still isn't going to be on the list of houses or roads that you're going to be giving us later today or next week or whenever the road resurfacing project comes out to the public.
I'll leave that to Public Works. I can't speak to the resurfacing.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Sure.
Commissioner Kennard?
Yeah, the argument, I'm going to go back to impact fees here. Back when we discussed this and ultimately voted to raise the impact fees, the consultant was asked if that included the cost of right-of-way. He said it did not. He would write an addendum to his report and come back with what that cost would be that should have been added into the numbers we're dealing with at that time. The argument has since been made that new developments, when they're going through the process, ultimately provide right-of-way to the abutting road, for the county to ultimately widen that road. The problem is that they provide right-of-way on one side of it, and as we know, we have to have right-of-way on the other side as well. So the purchase of that property on the other side doesn't fall on that developer. It falls on existing residents. And while I'm in no hurry whatsoever to raise impact fees again, I think it deserves a public discussion to understand that 491, the road that we've been dealing with and talking a lot about, right now we're facing Pine Ridge to either Hampshire or Pine Ridge to Deltona to widen that. We're facing a $70 million bill to go to Deltona. That's got to be paid by somebody. And the reason right now that 491 needs to be expanded is not because of any of the developments that have been approved. Very few of them have even started building homes. What is driving the growth in the county and all of the traffic and the congestion in the county is infill. Impact fees will address infill and will make sure that those 53,000 vacant lots that still exist out there contribute their portion to buying right-of-way, to building a wider road, to making the transportation improvements that are necessary to accommodate all of this infill. And I agree, the infill is far better than new developments coming on board. But if the infill impact fees do not cover the right-of-way purchase, then all the rest of us get to cover that right-of-way purchase because of them, all of these new homes being built in Pine Ridge, Citrus Springs, Crystal River, wherever. So if we do get some form of concurrency built back into our comp plan, which I hope that can happen. It sounds like DOT's got a path forward and Inspire knows the way forward. That will do absolutely nothing for capturing the real cost of new construction in our community for improving our transportation infrastructure. Nothing.
Did you have something?
Commissioner Kennard, I agree with you. My biggest concern on raising impact fees, I don't think that will deter one national name brand company building homes from building a home. But what it will do is it will kill our local builders. And that rolls right. I mean, we've been through this. There's a whole report that was done on it back in 2013 or 14. Everything from your plumbers, your stucco, your electric. I mean, a lot of them left Citrus County, and what we have back, I mean, people that need things in their home now, they call up and there's sticker shock because of what it costs to do business. And I think that we kind of struck a balance. I'm all about eliminating the age-restricted piece of it, but we're already seeing a decline of building of homes, but we're not seeing a decline in pricing. The costs just keep escalating. So for me, I'm a no-go right now on raising impact fees. I understand what you're saying, but I think we have an obligation to support our local builders and what they're doing in our community, because they've made an investment. Many of them have been here for years. Some of them raised here. And they're employing, that's a big, big impact to our overall economy and what that means. So I can't support raising that, but I can support eliminating the age restricted.
Madam Chair and Commissioner Bays, I would support her position on this. That, you know, this, to raise impact fees at this point is going to require, as we're told, a unanimous vote. And if we're not going to get there already, then let's give some clear instruction to staff on how we want to move forward with our second workshop, because there needs to be a second one, right?
Correct.
So I would support removing the age restrictions portions that she talked about. I would like to see us move forward with adding in the concurrency portion into the comp plan. Pull off the proposal to raise the transportation impact fees to account for right-of-way acquisition. However, in 4 years, when this study is done again, that has to be included on day one. So we're not going through this messy process again. It needs to be all included. This is what it costs to not only construct a road, but this is what it costs to buy the property and construct a road as well. That's where I would land on this.
Commissioner, that's well said. I realize that we need 5, but Eric, can you just remind us, so the comparative counties around us, we're at 13, we're looking at 15, which doesn't look like it's happening today. Can you just kind of let us know the surrounding, where we fall?
I remember when we adopted this a few months ago, there was a chart, and we were in the middle of the road. Where we are now, there were some counties, I think Manatee County is like $34,000 impact fee for a single-family home, but I think there's some counties that are a little bit less than us. It seemed like we were kind of struck a balance. We were in the midpoint of the ones that they compared to. Just remembering from going from memory.
So, as I do agree, you know, to the people that live and work here and build houses, the fees getting passed on to the purchaser. Obviously, not the builder. I don't know that the $2,000 stops home building here. My concern, and I think Commissioner Kennard alluded to this, is somebody's paying for it. So you may do that today because builders have reached out and saying, hey, this, you know, they don't want to be the ones saying impact fees were raised $2,000. But at some point, then you're going to ask the taxpayers on a whole to pay more taxes to foot the bill for this. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I assume that's where you're going with this. Somebody's paying for it, so either we can do it with impact fees or you'll be doing it with taxes. So I was prepared to do it with impact fees today, but if we can't get 5, it doesn't look like that's happening. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I will, I'll add one more comment and then can move down to the right side of the dais here. I have changed my position a little bit on this next phase of 491, and that will be coming forward in a future agenda, that I'm going to agree with Commissioner Barrick that we need to go to Deltona We need to bond it, and the public needs to know that there's probably a $50-60 million bond proposal coming to widen that road. And it will be paid by all taxpayers, not just those who are moving here and doing the infill.
Commissioner Davis.
That would be more cost-effective over the long haul between the $2 million required to taper and then untaper. And then obviously, we've all seen with the run-up on construction costs have happened. My follow-up question on this, and this is just because I always like to play with a full deck of information. Do we have anything, is there any legal tools in the toolbox to promote infill versus new development? You can't have, I assume there's no different, you can't do two different single-family impact fees, one for new development and one for infill, because infill is obviously much smarter community management.
It's a yes/no answer. And with impact fees, no, you can't pick and choose single family.
Right.
But you can incentivize impact fees, I think, in the comprehensive plan. If you're to encourage more infill growth, you could perhaps allow higher densities with infill. There are a number of ways. If you have utilities, you can allow smaller lots. So I think now's the time if you have a thought that you want to share with our consultant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner Barrick.
I came prepared to approve this because right now in Citrus Springs, houses are going for, say, $260 to $285 for brand new ones. This would not impact much different price. We do have less expensive houses in Citrus Springs than other areas, but they're all platted. Okay, so age restriction, that doesn't bother me one way or the other. So if you want to add it or subtract it, but I was prepared to agree to this 15 million or 15,000 because it's not an outrageous price compared to what the person's getting. Okay? We are not going to ever get enough money from it to do what we need as a county. But it is better than what we are getting. So, I like your idea, remove the age restrictions, but I do not agree with this idea about that thing that you and Commissioner Davis talked about, because that automatically lets my district out of the picture. So, and that's a personal thing.
Aren't you, may I, Commissioner?
Please.
You're talking about road resurfacing, and when we're talking about
No,
concurrency,
I'm
it's
talking
widening.
about, he's doing concurrency.
Right.
And then with the concurrency, you have to also consider the road resurfacing at the same time.
No, ma'am.
No.
It's a different, you can't. You cannot do road resurfacing with impact fees or concurrency. Correct?
You can do brand-new roads with
Correct.
the impact fees.
Would you like to clarify?
Yeah, so road resurfacing is just how the county maintains their existing roads. Impact fees would be for providing new capacity, expanding capacity. And then concurrency would be, do you have capacity, yes or no, based on a traffic study? If you do have capacity, you're free to go. If you don't, then you would have to pay your fair share for your impact on creating new capacity.
Correct.
But that's just capacity, not resurfacing.
Correct.
But if you're adding a lane that's new,
Yes.
that can be impact fees.
Yes.
Okay, so part of the impact fees can go for that second lane this direction, or second lane that direction.
Yes.
Okay, and that's what it's for,
Yes.
because we have added capacity. Okay, so that's why I said they do balance each other out, not 100%, but there is some of it.
You started off by saying this negatively impacts specifically your district, and I don't see the nexus there.
Okay, well then I will rescind that statement.
Okay, well, Eric, are we clear as mud now? I count 3-2, you're looking for 5-0.
So I know we need to open it up to the public, but it just seems that there's a maybe on the floor for the age restriction. So unless I'm told otherwise, I'll bring that one back for the second workshop, and we can go for a vote on that one.
Okay.
And we can talk more after we hear from the public.
Okay.
We'll see if anything shakes out or changes.
Commissioner Finnegan, may I?
Please.
No question for you, but I want to make sure I'm perfectly clear about my position. And I understand what you're saying is that somebody's going to pay for it, the taxpayers. If part of what I'm trying to make sure the community is aware, there's studies that are done by the National Association of Home Builders. We talk about if we're going to pass that cost on to the taxpayers, but if we raise impact fees, we could also, that could hurt our economy to the point that it could be far more significant than what it's going to cost taxpayers to pay for those roads. We're talking about the local income and the jobs. And I mean, there's a study that was done on 200 homes built in the county. That's $140 million of local income. It's $9.2 million in taxes and other local revenues and 2,013 jobs. That's what I'm fearful of. If we raise the impact fees, we're going to affect the local builders, and that's going to be the downturn of our economy.
When did you say the study was done?
This one was done in 24, but I'm just saying that this was a study that was done in 2024. But they do these studies, and I think economics is more than just talking about it singularly in one component. We have to look at it of what it does for our entire community, the economic inputs and outputs of all of it. So I just want to be clear. I understand there's a cost both ways, but I think the cost is far more significant to us at this time if we raise impact fees, that we would have negative inputs on our job creations and what we can do in our community versus holding off and seeing where we're going and then looking at impact fees at a later date, raising them.
Anybody else before I turn it over?
Chair.
Ma'am.
Sorry. In listening to your discussion, I did hear you all talk about the non-concurrency issue. So it might also, in your discussion, you might want to see if you have an agreement among yourselves to direct staff to have that non-concurrency into the comp plan. Or, you know, as we're revising the comp plan, if you want to have that added to the comp plan, and you can see if you have agreement on that too.
Okay, so I think Eric spelled it all out about the phone conversation that we had with Secretary Hall and the reason why our senator's not pushing it through the legislation because we can fix it ourselves, but it's a good idea to get consensus. You know, we're assuming that's the way we're moving forward, but for Eric and for moving ahead with our comp plan, can we get some sort of consensus of moving ahead in that direction?
Yes.
Commissioner Barrick?
Since it's for the whole county, yes.
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 There you go.
Got a unanimous, yeah.
There you go. That part anyway. Thank
We
you.
just want to make sure that the record, you know, the minutes reflect that y'all gave that direction.
Does somebody want to make a note that we just had a 5-0 vote?
It happens a lot. Madam Clerk, do you know what number we're on for the open to the public green cards? We're on number 8? Okay, so if you'd like to speak and you've taken a card, you may have a number 8 on the top of your card. You may come up to the podium. We do, but we're still on this. That's okay. And we are only talking about impact fees at this time. Anyone talking about impact fees? You have 3 minutes at the podium. Welcome.
All right, Curtis Bryant, LaCanto. So I heard about the concurrency thing. Good that you guys are bringing that back. The question I have, I think this is where Commissioner Barrick was going with it. We have 30% of our roads, or roughly 30% of our roads are in failing condition as it is based on that most recent study. If we do the concurrency portion, my understanding is we do a study and says, hey, you know, these roads are, you know, this much traffic is coming in based on these developments, but the road is already poor. Are we able to charge them to upgrade that road to a newer condition versus what is currently there? Because previously the word was that we had to do, get all the roads up to a certain condition before we can start doing concurrency because we couldn't have the developers pay for poor roads to be upgraded. So just wanted a little bit of clarity on that portion of it. Yeah.
Thank you. Next speaker? Anybody else?
Oh, I'm Stan. I didn't know if there was another number.
Come on forward.
Number 9. My name is Katrina Letourneau, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Citrus County Building Alliance. Just wanted to come up here quickly and thank you for your consideration and how this impact fee will affect our building industry negatively. I know that it's a delicate balance. We know that we're behind. We know that there's a deficit, but we also need to take into consideration the impact fee cannot bear the burden of years past. We know what, not everybody understands what impact fees can be used for. I'm confident that you all do know what they can be used for, and we're appreciative of the fact that you're taking into consideration that you already increased the impact fees quite drastically to catch us back up to where we were. You didn't get too much pushback before because we understand that it takes money to do things. We know that costs are increasing. However, including the right-of-way acquisition feels rather punitive when we're discussing, a $15 or $20 potential increase on ad valorem and how that's going to negatively affect people. Now we're talking about potentially $10,000, just under, I think it's like $9,300 in 1 year if you chose to increase the right-of-way acquisitions. If you don't think that that's going to impact the consumer, very wrong. That has to go directly to the consumer. So you might be right in your statement that, in the end, the builder doesn't eat it. But in the end, that might be what pushes the builder not to build anymore because we have to look at our return of investment. And if adding an additional $10,000 of cost to a home for impact fees, permitting, and whatnot, it doesn't add intrinsic value to the home. So that gets pushed right on to the end result. And for some people, that means that it's not worth for them building anymore. So I do appreciate your consideration. I look forward to having more conversation with you guys at our governmental affairs meetings in the coming weeks. So thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker?
Good afternoon, Melissa Sutherland. So like Katrina, I am an active member of the Citrus County Building Alliance. I've been there since 2004. So I've already been through some economic turmoil in the building industry. We lived it, right? And I remember a lot of decisions being made that we talk about now as far as the changes in concurrency. And a lot of that was done because we were bleeding from the trades, right? And my child, and I've talked to Holly about this, I'm sorry, Commissioner Davis about this a little bit, but my child had to buy out of county because the cost of a home where he could get a first-time homebuyer's bill loan was out of his budget in Citrus County. And I point that out because the average age of homeownership for first-time homebuyers is now like 40 years old. And that's crazy because we know that homeownership is one of the keys to building generational wealth. So that point aside, we're also ticking into higher and higher unemployment numbers. And I did a quick Google search, so take this as accurate as Google can make it. But it said that our local construction makes up approximately 13.4% of employers. Now again, that was Google, so I could be off a little bit, but that's a pretty substantial number of employers. And when you consider AC, electrical, plumbing, block masons, and all of the things, all of the suppliers that are fed by the construction industry, and then all of the outlying where all of the people who work in this industry spend their money, the restaurants, the hospitals, the doctor bills, the gas stations, everything we do that negatively affects new home construction in this county affects a huge percentage of our county's residents. And while, yes, that cost is passed through to the homeowner, every $100 increase in a mortgage payment, I heard this statistic today actually, every $100 increase in a mortgage payment takes 1 million potential home buyers out of the market. So that might be a couple $1,000s to us today, but we could be effectively eliminating potential home buyers or forcing them to dramatically downsize And a family that needs a 2-3 can now only afford a 2-2, and they're stuffed to the gills in a teeny tiny house because that's all they can afford. So just things to kind of take into consideration as we make these decisions and make homeownership more and more onerous and challenging for people coming up. We want them to stay here. We want them to live here. We need to make it possible for them to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Chairman, Commissioners. Josh Wooten, CEO of the Citrus County Chamber of Commerce. That statistic that she just gave you of for every $100 an increase of your mortgage, I think it's 100,000 people out of the market, but somewhere in between. But still, it's a big number. It's a big number, and so I like the approach that y'all are taking to look at this thing globally. I didn't make it to your workshop, but I read some of the coverage of it, and it looks like y'all are having these good philosophical discussions about how we're going to fund things moving forward. You have the uncertainty of what the legislature is going to do, what's going to be on the ballot. Do we go with MSTUs, MSBUs? Do we eventually raise the impact fee to include these things? These developer agreements seem to be gaining in popularity. But Commissioner Kennard, as you said, all the traffic and all the growth that we're seeing right now is all building on existing lots. There's been no new development that's opened their doors. There's some land clearing and there's some speculation and maybe in addition of an additional, I think, 3,900 lots, but none of those have been built on. So I think you're doing the right thing is looking globally at the economy. If anybody hasn't noticed, we're in a little bit of a slowdown now. You know, we're not in a recession, but we're, you know, a little bit below normal. And so we don't want to do anything that would make that worse than that at this point. But I think y'all are doing the right thing, trying to get your hands around the problem. And let's see what the legislature does to us and maybe have a workshop and throw all these things in here. These are the issues that we have, and these are the tools that are available to us, and as a community, we'll figure it out. And I love the comprehensive plan thing going on, the way you are including the public, so thank you. Good discussion today, and we like exactly the direction you're headed right now.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Unexpected appearance, Joe Hicks, Beverly Hills. It goes back to the sales tax. I'm here to advocate for the senior citizens and for the low-income folks in our county. If you look at the latest census information, if you clip the top income earners in our county, you find out that just over 14% of our citizens here in the county get by on less than $17,000 of disposable income. 14% of our citizens get by on less than $17,000 disposable, and approximately half of our citizens get by on under $43,900. So I forget which speaker was talking about it's only $150. I was offended by that because it's a different $150 if you make $150,000 than if that $150 is your last $150. You're literally taking that 1% sales tax money, and if you apply this thing globally, put the cost on the taxpayer instead of put the cost on the developer, you're literally taking that $150 out of potentially buying a kid a new pair of blue jeans or buying a new bunk bed if you had another kid. That's that last $150. That's the most important $150. So do keep the low income folks severely in mind when you start talking about, well, we're going to let the impact fees go by and let it be more globally distributed, like in a 1% additional sales tax. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Anybody else? Okay, closing open to the public. Board?
Yeah.
Commissioner Barrick.
I just have a couple of statements. Number one, Citrus Springs platted lots are still being built on and are still being sold, okay? Now, approximately 10,000 is what she said would be the up cost for the impact fees from what we have to what we're gonna change to. Why not start building 2-bedroom, 2-bath? I bought a 1-bedroom, 1-bath when I started out, okay? And then I've moved up as time went on. But there's nothing wrong with a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, okay? 15,000 is added, or 15,000 was added about, I want to say 4 years, maybe 3.5 years ago, to the house price when we went to the new septic systems. That did not impact the building whatsoever. And it was a $15,000 charge for that system. So I think if we're going to do something for the county, that these impact fees are right in line with what we should be doing. And that's all I wanted to say, because I listened to Building Alliance people. Yeah, impact fees are going to be coming whether you like them or not, okay? How much the board decides is the proper amount, that's different. But we can always build different size houses. We don't all have to have 3 and 4 bedrooms. Kids grew up 2 and 3 kids to a bedroom, or 1 and 2 kids to a bedroom, you know, all depends. Beverly Hills, and the gentleman that was up here, Joe, he'll tell you, we have grandparents that have children, grandchildren living in those houses that were built 1-bedroom houses. And they're living with 3 and 4 grandchildren in that house. So it can be done, and they can be brought up, and they can be educated and get jobs. The problem is we don't have the jobs in this county yet. So the impact fees shouldn't bother the builders, and it shouldn't bother new people moving in.
Anybody else? Do you need anything else from us?
So do we feel that there's a possibility of a 5-0 vote for eliminating the 2 columns for age restriction?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so if that's the case, I'll bring that back for a vote at the second workshop.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, we have a presentation for Citrus County Artificial Reefs.
Chair?
Yes.
Just clarification, so I do my records correctly. Was that just a consensus, not a motion, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and we'll get Holly when she comes, Ms. Davis when she comes back.
Yes.
Chair, Commissioners, Carlton Hall, Public Works. So we wanted to take just a few minutes, won't take very long, to kind of give you an update on the project that we just completed recently with the offshore reef. It's called Fish Haven 1 East, and I want to introduce our new Aquatics Director for the Division of Aquatics, Andrew Owens, who's going to present the presentation.
Welcome, Mr. Owens.
Good afternoon, Chairwoman, Commissioners. I'm here today to discuss what should be considered one of the many crowning jewels of Director Mark Edwards' long-standing career. Arthur Reinhard deployed this reef we're about to talk about, and many, many others, which we'll discuss. And Tracy Nesmith is back at the office right now administering the grants that make these possible. I also want to thank Citrus County Commissions, past and present, for supporting opportunities like these to really add to our capital investments. For those that don't know, the Fish Haven is Citrus County's artificial reef permit areas. They are about 18 miles from the Crystal River Inlet and about 14 from the Homosassa Inlet. This is because it makes them accessible for more people, and it puts them out far enough not to be obstructions. And it's a great location for an artificial reef. When we discuss project footprints, this is a big outcome from this project. Initially, our boundaries were this northwestern portion of the existing Fish Haven 1. That had been ongoing since the 80s. After this project, we see that they've given us an extended permit area to cover some regions that we had deployed in that weren't permitted, but probably due to technology, the era. So we actually now have an expanded Fish Haven 1, and then we have this 40-acre footprint now, Fish Haven 1 East. Keep in mind that all of this information is part of an ongoing GIS update where we're going to do a full spatial inventory and see really what we have. It'll help with past, present, and future reef data and deployments, and it'll really help us know what capital investments do we have out here, because we have a lot to work with. A quick fact sheet about the project. About 2,000 tons of Highway 19 barge canal were deployed. They'd been sitting since about 2010. Some other interesting timelines here. If we look at Restore grant monies, which are from the Gulf Consortium, the BP oil spill monies, didn't become available until about 2012. 2017, we started planning of this project. 3 months to deploy the overall project, and really a 15-year time of completion, which is something we'll talk about quite a long period of time. I think we can do better. Project costs. We had some existing some design and permitting help, so I'm not going to include those monies. I haven't got this exact figure yet, but I'm looking. But it was about $1.1 million to deploy. You see here on the right-hand side. A barge is expensive when it comes from Tallahassee and rounds the Horn and then has to go all the way up the barge canal and all the way back out. So some things to think about in the future. How can we cut these costs? And then it was $33,000 for the certified as-built plans, which they're really nice plans, but are they $33,000 nice? We can maybe cut some costs here, so some exciting things. The best part is this cost very little to the county. This was all grant reimbursement. We spent about $1.148 million, which leaves us $62,000 for an inshore rollover, which we're excited about. As you are well aware, we have another project that we can talk about outside of here coming up that's very exciting, $62,000 more for that. What did we get for this deployment? If we look at the as-built plans, we got about 3 deployment drop areas. We had a little bit of weather which caused drop 2 to be spaced a little bit, but still well within our expectations. And it actually provides a really unique set of very large reef piles. They're all generally in the northern portion of Fish Haven, so we still have a lot of Fish Haven to work with, Fish Haven 1 East that is, and they're pretty distantly spaced. So as a diver goes, you're pretty hard to dive location to location, but as a deployment goes, we have a lot of space to fill in here. So a lot of well permitted, pretty easy to get these deployments in this specific location. We dove it once recently, which this will illustrate why we need to monitor this reef more frequently. But here's what the results are after only a couple of months of deployment. That's your benthic conditions throughout most of the site. And as we approach the reef, you can see all the different bridge materials, decking, siding, columnar supports. And look how much red and green algae we already have growing on these things. This happens very rapidly. Also, there's a lot of relief to this deployment, which causes really good current flow. The currents kind of just swirl in there, which is really what you want to see on some of these bigger reefs. So, and then also you'll see schools of fish almost instantly, and you already have the largest predators. We counted at least 5 Goliath grouper. So really exciting, a beautiful fish too. It's a very healthy fish, but he's also eating all the bait. So what are some project goals and some project lessons? Let's take a look. Some of the goals, right? Fisheries and ecology are always one of the goals. I don't necessarily think we should think of these as goals anymore because they're almost guaranteed. If we have other goals, knowing this is going to happen anyway, why make it a major goal? But we'll see that they inhabit reefs within moments. The recent video illustrates that. We've successfully created a lot of habitat, so great work. Tourism. The FWC panhandle estimate model says for every dollar spent, we get about 138 in returns. I mean, if you can show me a share on the market, I'd be happy to purchase it. That's a great investment, especially when you consider grant monies. You gotta love a reef. So tourism, we've done well. We can do, there's more things we can do we can discuss outside of this, but we've done a great improvement there. Future reef projects, now this is what we should really think about. We have 2 permits. It'd be easier to operate only 1. How are some clever ways we can start thinking about reef permitting? It's actually a very common topic right now, so it's a perfect timing. We might have time to develop a really creative reef permit that allows us some room to do some exciting things. We should definitely involve a variety of materials and partners. Reefs work best when collaborative. The big thing now is we want a priori type research designs. previously, we've kind of deployed materials and then said, now what? How did it work? The modern approach is to actually design a really interesting research topic or have a null hypothesis that you want to test before you even deploy. So this will be what we're seeing a lot in the future moving forward with a lot of these grant opportunities. And we want to maximize those opportunities and impacts. That's, again, why collaboration is important, because we need to make sure all shareholders are getting something out of these, stakeholders. And I really think we're going to start seeing more frequent, smaller scale deployments that allow us to use the resources available for longer periods of time, more considered, more monitoring, more actually what are we getting for our money. And really, we've learned a lot of lessons, but really it's how do we establish a funded artificial reef program that matches a lot of the sentiments built into the aquatic plants control program, where we can have a funded, steady program that's scaled to support the aquatic plants control, because we can't forget about that program as well. It's important. So with that, glory be to the Father, and thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Cool presentation. I love the underwater diving.
Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Davis.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe I'm the only scuba diver among the five of us. Jeff, you're the avid fisherman, but are you dive as well? Okay. So, welcome to the team. Thank you for the presentation. I am fortunate enough that, and I love the whole tourism thing because I'm on the tourism board as well. I have, just so you know, I've been diving in Southeast Florida pretty extensively, Bahamas, Belize, Philippines, Galapagos twice. Thank you. That's like the big one, and you know. Are you familiar with Lady Luck?
I usually dive for work, so I dive at all the places no one else wants to go to. But this reef thing is really exciting.
So point being is that I would like to go out and look at it from a tourism perspective because, for example, Lady Luck is one of the coolest dive sites in Southeast Florida. It's an old gambling ship.
Yeah.
And they'd sunk it, but before they sunk it, they took these big concrete sea life, like they've got mermaids and mermen and other like turtles and stuff, and they're playing craps and at a, you know, slot machine and all that, and they anchored it to the deck, and underwater it's pretty cool. And I was a pretty new diver at that time, and that's the first time I saw my first Goliath grouper, and it scared the bejesus out of me because it came up over the railing. I was like, oh my God, that thing's scary. It was huge. Point being is that maybe we look at that because we are a very tourism-based economy and we're always looking for things that we can expand to. But I'd really like to, you know, beyond manatees and, you know, we're now bicycling and all that, but I would love to get eyes on that to see with the background I've had in
well, it's a very
experiencing the tourism areas.
One of our goals, you know, outside of this presentation, but a broader goal is to develop our diving so that it's considered actual diving. Oftentimes what our dive centers provide is snorkeling, and we don't have the deepest waters, but the kind of consensus is it's a perfect training ground. It's for a person who only wants 1 atmosphere or just a little over 1 atmosphere so that they're in a much safer environment. Also, we want to attract diving. You need interesting things. That goes back to the point of understanding the legacy of what we have. And I would tie that in too, that we have a lot of historical documents about aquatic services as well. And a lot of it just hasn't been synthesized, but I think if we were to synthesize all that, it'll be really exciting because there's a lot of data there that just hasn't, it's just waiting to be operationalized. And the GIS would be really critical, especially if we have like a digital asset manager where we could start providing, you know, digital, if you dive this was deployed in 1987, it is this material, it's approximately this big. If, hey, did you dive there today? Do you have any pictures? Click the link, send us your data. That's monitoring right there, that's citizen science. I really hope we can get a digital portal for all of this so that we can just be, you know, up
What
to
is
date.
the max depth out there?
Max depth, we're looking at 38 feet, maybe 40 if you find a hole. A lot of it's 35. If you go a little further out, we can get into the 40s. It takes forever here in Citrus County to get some depth. You know how it is. The bay is very...
Yeah, that's why I pretty much don't dive the Gulf, but some of my favorite dives have been at 35 to 20 feet, so.
How's the water clarity for snorkeling? If someone wanted to snorkel a reef, is that possible, or does it really take the dive gear to do that?
You'd have to be an advanced snorkeler, like a free diver. Free divers love it. But as we talked, there's the Restore program where we'll be working on inshore opportunities for these types of things that are a little bit closer, a little bit shallower. And this is also in 30 feet, you're out there 20 miles, you also are open to like maritime weather. So I mean, the current here can be extreme, like 3-5 knots. On this day, it was 2 something, I could imagine, a couple knots. So swimming into it, you're not going fast, you're burning oxygen, air really fast. But other days, I mean, it's all weather dependent. Some days it's clear as could be. We missed it like 5 days on this dive. We got bad visibility and current. 5 days earlier, it would have been perfect. Yep.
Just a quick question. When, great presentation, thank you. I'm very excited about the project and finally getting to this point. When, going back 2 or 3 years now, maybe, Mark Edwards and I were talking about this. And at that time, I believe it was Army Corps had suggested that either there wasn't enough room in the existing permitted area, or it would just be better to do a second expanded area. At that time, he was talking about 100 acres, and then came back to me at a different point in time and said, how do you want us to proceed? How do you want us to bring this to the board? Army Corps is suggesting 40 acres, and then if you want, at some point down the road, you can pursue this others. And so it was somewhat fast-tracked to get to the 40-acre permit. Is there a plan to do the full 100 acres, or at what point do we start that long slog with Army Corps to get the expanded area?
Well, that's a great question, and the answer, I think, would be we have 2 permits now. One's till 2034, which is our Fish Haven East, so we have plenty of time there. But we have, in 1 month is the deadline, but we want to be a year ahead of the deadline to resubmit. And so that gives us about 9 months, because 2027 is when Fish Haven 1 has to be renewed. So when that occurs, which is coming up, so this should be something we figure out, we can propose it then. Okay. Will they sign off? Will they not? Now, they did go through that whole overarching square that I had showed, and they identified 2, maybe 3 large areas of natural hard bottom and exposures, things we don't want to, it's already what we want it to be.
Sure.
And so we might be able to cleverly explain that, can we have zones in there where we're the no drop zones maybe? I mean, having it delineated differently does help for a management perspective.
Sure.
So there's a lot of creative things we could pitch, and the least or all they can do is say no, right? I mean, if it's clever and if it's done appropriately, there's a good chance they'll accept.
Well, I'm looking forward to the inshore stuff.
Me as well. And actually, don't be surprised if before that you start seeing a lot of offshore, because it's not just about that inshore that we're working on. We've got a reef and we have till 2034. And if we do small, steady deployments, we won't burn up our space. And the University of Florida hopefully will be very involved, because these are research opportunities for young students. It should be fodder for everyone. Maximize that value, really spread it broad.
You know, CCA has been very involved in different reef deployments around the state. Are we in contact with them and Mr. Gorski there?
I have verbal intention to match a grant if awarded by the FWC, and that's in March 20th. So hopefully we can turn that around this week real quick.
Great. Super, thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner Barrick.
On the news the other day, they were talking about the reefs, that they were using reef ball. And they were showing that, and they were so excited about they were the first. They're not the first, because we've been doing it a lot longer. And I think it's really great that we're doing this, that we're using used materials rather than purchasing these reef balls. And the things are flourishing. The fish are there, the wildlife is there. I mean, I don't do I do snorkeling, and I've done it in Hawaii and stuff a couple of times, and it's really, really neat. But out there is a little bit too, I'm not going to do any diving, no. But I think that we need to continue, get as much money as possible in grants, get it out there, get it going, get us to be #1 with this. It would be a really, really nice thing to have for our citizens and anyone coming to visit.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Owen.
Thank you very much.
Great presentation. Okay, next up we have a public hearing for the wholesale water rate. Mr. Cheek? Only running 35 minutes behind.
Board members, Ken Cheek, Water Resources Director. Before you today is a public hearing for a bulk adoption of a bulk sewer rate. We have an existing customer in Crystal River, and this basically sets the rate for future wastewater utilities to send flow to us.
Do you have any questions before I open the public hearing?
Doesn't affect any of our other rates.
Anyone would like to speak about this wholesale water rate? Okay, I'm closing the public portion of that. And now we just need a
Madam
motion.
Chair, motion to approve I, 3, B, and C, and authorize the chairman to execute a resolution.
Motion by Commissioner Davis.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kennard. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Kogar. And she's already on her way up. How are you?
I am good, thanks for asking.
Great to see you.
Yeah, you guys too. Thanks for having me. I have a PowerPoint. Awesome. Is this my clicker? Is this, okay, I've never done this up, the PowerPoint thing up here. So anyway, thank you guys all so much for having me. Commissioner Bays, thank you so much for finding it important enough to have this conversation with you guys and be able to present this initiative to the board. I know many of you sitting on the board have had the opportunity to hear this presentation. You've been in rooms where you've seen our president of the Florida Chamber present this presentation on prosperity and childhood poverty here in Citrus County. And I know, Commissioner Davis, you've been involved in this work for the last couple of years, and Commissioner Bays, you've been very invested in the mental health and behavioral health piece of our economy, if you will. And there's plenty of, all of you I'd love to have more conversations with. I know Commissioner Finnegan, you've been wanting to have more of those too, so I do look forward to that. So again, thank you so much for having me here today. So today I wear two hats, one as a Citrus County resident of 20 years, and also as on behalf of the Florida Chamber, I'm the statewide director leading the Prosperity Initiative across the state. As someone who grew up in the foster care system in an abusive home, the data that I'm gonna share with you is data once that did define me in my childhood. We just didn't have it available at the time to work the system like we're able to now. So I will begin my presentation, and as this presentation unfolds, I will be quick and concise. I'm gonna go through my slides pretty quick, but this deck is available to anyone that wants to have it. There's gonna be a couple of slides that I'll skip through, but they're just in there so that you can have them for later on. And I'm totally open to questions as we move through this. So let's talk about the economy first. Here in if Florida was a country, we would be the 15th largest economy in the world. We're getting ready to pass Australia, and we just passed Spain. And in order to be the 10th largest economy by 2030, there's 39 things that we have to do as an economy here in Florida to become the 10th. And one of those goals is cutting childhood poverty in half, which is what I'm here to talk about. So here in Citrus County, in the next 5 years, we're gonna be bringing 10 to 15,000 new residents into Citrus County, and we're going to need 3,200 new jobs by then to support the growth. And I'm sorry, my notes were messed up. But the good news is that the growth in data gives us an opportunity. We get to decide whether Citrus County grows intentionally or reactively. And if we don't intentionally bring people into the growth, especially families and children who are struggling, we risk building an economy that not everybody can participate in. And having a successful growing economy isn't just about growth and roads, but can everybody participate in the economy that we have coming for us? And our data gives us exactly where to focus that attention. And one of the biggest things is childhood poverty. So here in the state of Florida, we have 983 zip codes. And we have 711,000 kids living in poverty. And just half of our kids in poverty live in just 15% of our zip codes. And what that data tells us is that this is not an evenly spread crisis. It's local. It's in the neighborhoods that you drove by to get here today. And it's something that you don't see with your own eyes if we didn't have the data. And fun fact, the Florida Gap Map is the only place in the entire nation that houses the data that we house right there on that website all in one place. We measure over 150 metrics in every single zip code in the state of Florida, all 983 of them. And this is a crisis that's way too big for a governor to handle, way too big for a county commissioner to handle. And that's why the data has been found at the local level in neighborhoods so that it's solvable, so that businesses can be involved. And as somebody who grew up essentially here in Citrus County after my time in foster care, it is the very business sitting in front of me, behind me, and throughout our county that I can give credit to saying this is why I'm here today, is the business community being involved. It wasn't government, it wasn't welfare, it wasn't food stamps why I'm standing here. It was the very business community that invested in me. And I will be forever thankful for that. So right here in Citrus County, we have 5,400 kids living in poverty right here in our own community. Probably alarming to most people. Some of you have probably heard this number before. We have 13 zip codes, and half of our kids in poverty live in just 4 of our zip codes. One of those zip codes, the very poorest zip code in our community, which some of you know, I know the sheriff's office knows this, is 34465, where Mike Bay State Farm is. And what's significant about that being the poorest zip code, it's not just the poorest zip code, but the next poorest zip code is 500 kids less. So this zip code is the poorest zip code by 500 kids. There's almost 1,100 kids in this zip code that are struggling, and not including the adults that are also living in these homes. We have over 500 kids not reading at 3rd grade reading level. And 3rd grade reading is one of the strongest indicators that will decide whether a child is successful or not. Here in the state of Florida, 70% of our prisoners that are incarcerated in the state Florida prison system do not read at 3rd grade reading level. And I think that's enough to say that 3rd grade is one of the most important things that we have to be focusing on. And I'm going to get to some goals that we have here in Citrus County for that. This is a closer look at 34465, the zip code that Mike Bay State Farm is in. And maybe some of you live there or have businesses there. The 10 root causes of poverty. The Florida Chamber has worked for a lot of years to develop what puts somebody into poverty and what prevents somebody from getting out. And these 10 reasons, unattainable housing, lack of transportation, lack of childcare, safe, crime in neighborhoods, all hold somebody back and creates barriers for pathways for kids and families trying to work their way out of poverty. There are children in poverty, but there's also families that really want to do more, they want to do better, they just don't know where to go and they don't have the resources. People like my mother, who is still doing drugs, who's still homeless, who's still transient, and who knows where she's at today, there's some people that we're not gonna be able to help. But there is a handful that we're gonna be able to help, and they just don't know what door to knock on, and some of them that they're knocking on, they won't open. So how are we as a community gonna how are we going to unite these resources to make sure that we're creating pathways to make sure our economy is going to be stronger? Because poverty, you cut childhood poverty in half, you're fixing 1,000 other things. We do not become an economy like we are or like we want to become if we have 5,000 kids in our very community that are struggling and that are suffering. And when we have a business community like Citrus County, and I get to travel the state and tell all kinds of different communities, but more specifically in Tallahassee, I get to talk to our Attorney General, our First Lady, our Governor, the secretaries of every agency about what we're doing here in Citrus County and why we're so awesome here, because I get spoiled here and I go to other counties and they're not like us. And I think it's significant to realize, like, even though we're struggling and there's a lot of things that we have to fix, we have a lot to be proud of. Citrus County does not have an issue of leadership. We don't have a lack of resources. We don't have an issue of the business community writing checks to support people. We have an issue of unity and we have an issue of alignment. And once we learn to align and we start adding things up, we start to create results. Want to talk about just a little bit before we get into, again, local Citrus County information here, strategic partnerships. I've, again, had the opportunity of working for the Florida Chamber in the role that I'm in to be able to connect with significant leaders around our state, and one of them being the Florida Sheriff's Association. I was a deputy sheriff for 6 years, and as my time wearing a badge, I saw what it was like when communities worked in silos, and I also saw what it was like when they united. And being a first responder on a scene to a call, sometimes a deputy sheriff or a teacher are going to be the only two people that are going to see a child in crisis, and nobody else is ever going to see him again. So building a strategic partnership with the Florida Sheriff's Association, who Sheriff Dennis Lima of Seminole County, who's the president of that association, has encouraged all 67 sheriffs in the state of Florida to partner with us in this initiative to make sure that we are moving strategically in the right direction. And lucky for us, we have not only a passionate sheriff, David Vincent, but a very intentional, he's very intentionally led. He's passionate, but he's also experienced. And we're very, very lucky to have him. And I'm telling you, I've worked with a lot of sheriffs already, and I've been able to sit in rooms with them. And I think we've got one of the best ones in the state. And I don't just say that because he's sitting here. I mean that. A couple months ago, it was, how are we going to do this? How are we going to align? How are we going to get people to, and what I was so excited about when I got this job was Citrus County is home to me. And I have so many relationships here, and I've built from the age of 18 all the way, I turned 35 next week. And through my time here and building all these relationships with the business community and with the schools and the sheriff's office and all the different hats that I've worn here, it was an exciting moment for me to say, I get to go back to Citrus County, where I'm familiar, comfortable, and have a reputation, where I can get our leaders to come together, and Citrus County can in fact be the very first nation in the entire, the very first community in the entire nation to cut childhood poverty in half. And like I said, we don't lack anything but alignment. And if we can get aligned, there's absolutely no reason, it's an absolute excuse for us to sit here and say as a business community why we have that many kids in poverty. It's an excuse. And what we did is we got people together in a room, December 3rd, and it was key leaders. And I thought to myself, if we could get everybody in one circle, key leaders from each, not a big 150-person conference, but get a key person from each organization and division. We had our sheriff, we had our superintendent of schools, we had the director of the Education Foundation, Shonda, we had Commissioner Bays, who joined us, we had John Murphy, the chair of our local chamber, the president of our local chamber. We even had people coming in from Tallahassee, from the DCF office, to come in and sit down on this conversation, and it went great. And we just had the most recent one that we had was very successful. As our second roundtable meeting with key leaders in the sitting around a table, they weren't just talking about the programs that they have and what they offer, but we started talking about people and how do we align our organizations to make sure we're giving people pathways to success. How do we make sure each organization we're done working in silos, not all roads lead to us, because without each individual person sitting on this dais, each individual person running each and every one of our organizations, including our sheriff's office and our school board, we don't work. And I want to be very clear about the Prosperity Initiative. We are not here as the Florida Chamber to offer funds, money, programs, reinvent wheels. In fact, it's none of that. We are here to unite resources, because when somebody's looking for help and they truly need help, they don't know where to go. And the exposure, the education of what our community has, people need to know about it. And the way to know about it is to unite with each other, figure out how to work with each other, and what are we going to do to make sure that we create these pathways. Commissioner Bays was one of the first people in that meeting to raise her hand and say, I already know what I'm going to do. I want to start working on how to get funding so we can get some Head Start programs. She's made contacts and connections with people that she's got relationships with. And then we had George Smallstig with the United Way said, I have a financial literacy class that I put on 2 times a year, countywide. But instead of doing it countywide, I want to do it in Mike Bay's zip code. Let's put it right there in his zip code where we got to start somewhere. And then people started questioning transportation, another root cause to poverty. Scott Hebert, Dr. Hebert, our superintendent of schools, said, hey, I'll make sure I have a bus to make sure everybody makes it to that class. Shonda Burdette stood up and said, hey, I will make sure we have dinner so that everybody can eat when they get there, so that's not a problem. And as we collaborated at this meeting, that is exactly what the Prosperity Initiative was designed to do, is to bring business leaders together and say, how are we going to do it together? What can you do to support us, and what can I do to support you? And it happened, and it worked, and it unfolded, and it was incredible. And we hope to host the meetings every week, and we hope to invite people that are interested and invested to keep this, to keep it productive and keep it moving forward. And, the Prosperity Initiative is replacing government dependency with self-sufficiency. That's what we're doing. And as somebody, again, who grew up in the foster care system where I was one of these statistics, I can tell you that the business community is who I owe it all to. And my hard work and my involvement, but I wouldn't have been as motivated if somebody didn't find value in me before I found it in myself. I invite you guys to join us at our annual summit in Tampa on June 9th. Attorney General James Ethmeyer will be speaking, and a couple of other really awesome leaders that we just haven't been able to announce yet. But there's a couple more slides after these that I'm just going to leave there for whoever wants the deck. And I just want to say thank you again so much, and I look forward to being invited back to give you guys updates throughout the year for what we're doing around the state. One of my most favorite parts of my job is when I'm traveling around the state and I'm learning about what other communities are doing that are creating measurable outcomes. I get to bring them back home and say, this is what we're doing. And likewise, what we're doing here. Shonda Burdett's Education Foundation is invested in the Reading Pals program, which is creating measurable results. It's getting kids that are not reading at grade level, like it's actually working. So I got to go to Sarasota County a couple weeks ago and speak to their chamber and tell them all about Reading Pals, and they're asking how they get involved in it. And then, John Murphy with the Rotary and Melissa, Bowermaster with the Jesse's Place. I mean, you guys know she's doing incredible work there and the things that she's doing, and how can we support her when these kids are getting sexually abused and coming into her shelter and they have nowhere to go after. And DCF is another conversation, but it's how do we connect as a community? How do we unite? Stop working in silos. It's not, this isn't going to be done by anybody individually. And all I'm here to do today is to show you that through the Florida Chamber, where I've grown more in the last 6 months than I have in the last 5 years, being able to travel the state and do this work, is I'm very passionate about Citrus County, and I truly, from the bottom of my heart, believe that we can be the first community in the state of Florida and the whole nation to cut it in half and be on the front page of every paper in the state of Florida for it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.
Wow, I want to clap. That was a great presentation. I'm just going to go ahead and
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Fantastic presentation. Are you open to questions?
Absolutely.
Board, do you have any? Commissioner Davis?
So this goes back 6 years for me when I first heard Mark Wilson give this speech at the chamber, and thank you to our local chamber for bringing him in so many times. And he first, I think that's the first time I heard him say that every county commission meeting should open up with what our current childhood poverty is. Right, and I've never sensed in all my years on the commission that I had any buy-in from other commissioners, but maybe we do now. To add that, and that way it's always front and center on our focus on what we need to do for the future here. And one easy thing that I think maybe we could do too is wherever we're off camera, we're running pictures of us and various departments within the county, but maybe we add something on want to help, childhood poverty or reading scores, want to help, and then the Reading Pals phone number or whatever, the contact information, because the folks that give up their lives to watch us, God love them, are committed to the community. So they're exactly the kind that want to pitch in. Right?
Sure.
I would think.
No, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And one other super random thought, when I was at Florida Association of Counties early in my first term, they present best practices. And one of the best practices was a county down south that had lit kits. I think they called them lit kits. Something like that. Essentially when kids broke for summer break, and we're talking little kids, right? They were given a book bag of books to take home, and it was always about something that they were super interested in. So little boy is crazy about dinosaurs.
Right.
He got loaded up with dinosaur books, and another kid is crazy, I was horse crazy. Mine would have been horses, and that's a way to keep them engaged over the summer in a subject that they're really into. So it's just I didn't want to forget that idea.
Yeah, no, I'd love to collaborate with you more on that and hear your ideas. And like I said, I would love to talk to all of you guys individually, as a group, however you're legally allowed to do that with me. I don't know how that works, but I would absolutely love to hear all of your ideas because you guys work in all different districts. And what I would encourage you to do is to, reach out to the businesses in your district and have them either reach out to me or be involved. And Commissioner Bays, I think what led me ultimately to this position that I'm in now was the behavioral health symposium that you put on a couple years ago that you invited me to speak at because you thought that my testimony was important enough to let the business community know that without them, we don't create change, and without unity, we don't have results. So, thank you so much for doing things like that. And April 4th, I know you were heavily involved in. So I would love, in a perfect world, I think you guys are all sitting up here, you're clearly passionate about the economy and the future of Citrus County, and it all begins with childhood poverty. If we can figure that out, we figure out everything else. So if there's any other questions, I'd love to take them.
I just have a statement. 34465 is Beverly Hills. It's my district. In Beverly Hills, we have different programs that we reach out. We have the Beverly Hills Crime Watch, which works with the sheriff. We've got the Skill Bank. Some people don't realize the Skill Bank, you can call in there if you don't drive or you can't drive and you need to go to the doctor or you need to get groceries. It's all volunteer. They pick you up, they take you where you need to go, they wait for you. Okay, we also have Meals on Wheels, which everybody has. We do have the Early Learning Coalition because I'm part of that group. We have the Transportation Disadvantage. You can get a free ride on the bus, you can get an 85-cent ride on the bus. All you have to do is call.
Mm-hmm.
We are one of the few that does have a bunch of lines, bus lines. We also were one of the beginning people that did the Reading Pals. The older people from Beverly Hills started that. And they had people that were retired. Forest Ridge Elementary School is excellent for getting the kids to get the third grade reading ability. But one of the biggest things we have in Beverly Hills, and I'm talking about 491 Beverly Hills, is almost every storefront has a business. And the people in Beverly Hills can either walk there, ride their bike, or get there, and they do support. We go to the restaurants in Beverly Hills, and we are very supportive of our businesses in Beverly Hills. And that's what I want people to know.
That's awesome.
If your area supports your businesses, it will grow. I know we do have the lowest of the low, but we also have the highest of the high. And we have to look for more volunteers. The sheriff could always use more on Crime Watch.
Sure.
It's a big area to be out there looking. But I do appreciate everything you're doing. And anytime you want to get with me, we'll see what we can do to get something more moving. We also have the path.
I really appreciate that. I think the point you just made is that we don't lack resources.
No.
We just need to know all about them, and I'd love to get a list. Maybe each of you maybe even come up with a list of the resources in your district that you know about, and we can start connecting some dots. But thank you so much, Commissioner Barrick, for that, and I look forward to having more conversations with you. Thank you.
I was just curious, are they still doing the open table concept, or are you familiar with that, where they would have a family and it was something like that? Businesses and people in the community would have this open table, and so the person that's getting helped or the family getting help would be surrounded by these people helping them, holding that person accountable, and it was like per individual. So what's the barrier? Transportation, we'll help you get to the job, or what's the barrier? A job, we're going to help you find one, whatever that barrier was. It kicked off probably, it's probably been more than 10 years ago. I don't know if it got traction though, if it really went anywhere.
Yeah,
this sounds like bigger, right?
Right. It sounds exactly kind of what we're doing to align things. I would be interested in exploring that a little bit more to see if it did lose traction, why so, and if and how that works. But it sounds like kind of what that model would be like the zip code model that we have. Right. So if you, like Commissioner Barrick, since you said that you live in 34465, you let's say you decide to take over that zip code. You say, I'm going to go ahead and lead that zip code. We have 10 root causes. I know 10 businesses in this zip code that know solutions for each of these root causes. I know a church that will solve food insecurity. I know an educator or a teacher that will help do tutoring. I know somebody in the transportation division that will take over this root cause. And in a perfect world, if you're leading that zip code and you find 10 businesses that'll take on those 10 root causes, sounds like a lot. It's very simple. And you'll learn that in these roundtables if you're interested in learning more about them. Kind of like what you're saying is you get a business representing each root cause that naturally has the solutions for those. The business community, we don't have a problem writing checks. We need to actually start creating measurable outcomes. The United Way, the YMCA, the Boys and Girls Club, our local chamber that Josh Wooten leads, and our sheriff's office, our school board, everybody's doing incredible work. The work they're doing is amazing. They're just working in silos. We're not aligning. We're not on the same target. And once we get on the same target, like we have been in a couple of these meetings that we have, I'm telling you, we are on track to be #1 in the state. And I'm just very confident in that with the leadership that we have here.
So when you're saying businesses, like what we would give to you, not just like a mom and pop business, but like a church or something.
It
So
could
I'm
be
thinking
anything.
like Old Homosassa. I know which churches are feeding, right? Like First Baptist of Homosassa feeds.
Exactly.
Not far from there, the Learning Center for kids. They go there after school. So that's the kind of resources you're looking for.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, even if there was a stay-at-home mom that kind of wants to be involved and she's got some extra time and she's like, hey, I used to be a teacher. Can I please take on education and do some tutoring for, or whatever it is. Every zip code has different needs. What you do in 34465 is going to be different than what you do in Sugar Mill Woods, okay? And what you do here in Citrus is going to be different than what they do in Miami. So it's really the business community. They know their businesses. Mike Bay State Farm's been there for how many years, right? So they know their community.
old.
They know, yeah, he is. I mean, yeah, it is.
He could be watching right now.
But I mean, my point is the business community
He's
being
sleeping.
involved, they're long-term. They know their communities. They're invested. They want to do more. So having them being involved, and I'm speaking as a representative speaking product of the business community being involved, and a kid who I still don't have my mom, my dad, or anybody else. When I need somebody to watch my little boy, of course his father's there, but I've got the business community, people that I've built strong relationships with, like parental figures like Commissioner Baser, people like, Sheriff Vincent, who has always been, just always invested in the kids when he was a school resource officer, or a coach, or whoever, even you guys sitting up here on the board. I mean, it's making a difference, and I'm telling you now that there are zip codes around the state that I've physically and personally been in front of. It's working. It's working. Childhood poverty is going down, and I am very passionate, motivated, and ready to put every bit of my energy into making sure Citrus County is #1, and I mean that. So I appreciate it. If anybody else?
Commissioner Bass.
Heather, can you just touch a little bit on, we talk about we employ some single mothers and the fiscal cliff when they get maybe a raise, and then the problems with childcare. Those are, and then housing, and then the Alice population. Those seem to be some of the biggest challenges and hurdles that we cross every day, is trying to figure out childcare, which is why I've been working on a Head Start program for the last 2+ years. And then, so the mother can go to work, or the families can go to work, and they have childcare that's going to help educate that child and make sure that they're kindergarten ready and 3rd grade reading. And but also we have this issue with affordable housing. We have teachers that are working that can't afford rent. So, and then maybe a little bit about the Hope Florida program.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, as far as the fiscal cliffs that people have, I mean, I'll tell you right now, I was a mother on food stamps when I was living all by myself, and my son was not even a year old yet, and I needed things like that. And I had to become self-sufficient and figure out how to go sell a house when I jumped into real estate. So I understand that cliff of like, where do you, I think that the answer to that question, and I say this because I hear our president, Mark Wilson, speak on it, is that legislatively, I think there's things that they're trying to figure out for that, so that when a mom she wants the promotion to make $1.50 more an hour, but if she does, she gets kicked off all of this other assistance. How do we make sure that if she does get that raise, there's a time frame for she still gets to have the benefits until she can maybe either get another raise or there's proof of her being on track to get it being, climbing the ladder or getting another job or whatever it is that's going to get her self-sufficient off of the assistance. But I don't have the answer for that. I think that's something that's in the works. I've heard it be talked about in Tallahassee. And all I know is that they're working on it because I don't really have a solid answer on that. I do know that there are a lot of leaders up there in Tallahassee and even here locally that are very passionate about that and see it being an issue too. It's not something that's overlooked. It's something being talked about in every room that I walk in. So as far as the Hope Florida program, I'm a huge advocate. I have had the humbling privilege to build a very close relationship with our First Lady, Casey DeSantis, and I've had many one-on-one meetings with her where we've discussed the collaboration on her Hope Florida program and our Prosperity Initiative and the partnership between. And I will tell you that it is not only taken 50% of kids that would be in foster care not going into foster care, but it's taken 33,000 people off of government assistance and since its existence in 2019. And that's significant for our state. But what makes it so significant is it's a program where if you call the hotline, you don't just get your water bill paid. You don't just get some gas money or food brought to your door. It's a navigator is what they're called. They are, when you call in needing something, chances are when you're calling in for food, you probably need everything else on that wheel that you saw here. So they feed them, and then the navigator stays with them almost like a caseworker. They stay with them, they keep up with them, they follow up with them until they've reached the level of self-sufficiency. So if that mother or father is calling in saying, I'm hungry, and they're calling this Hope Florida line, it is a navigator local to our community also. There's navigators in every community in the state, and they're actually trying to get one in every single school in the state. They're working on that. But once they identify the issues that individual's having, and they say, so you've been needing food for the last couple of times you've called in. Now let's talk about some jobs. Like, what is it that you want to do? Well, I really want to go to nursing school. I'll never be able to afford it, so I'm just going to keep waiting tables until I can't anymore. Okay, now they've got connections. Hope Florida has connections with the schools, with employers. The Hope Florida Employer Program, if you're not familiar with it, I encourage you to look it up. It costs you nothing to be an employer, to sign up to be a Hope Florida employer, but it taps the business community into the hidden talent pipeline, and when people call into Hope Florida, there are people that want to work their way out of poverty, and they want to do better. Even people getting out of jail. Some people have used the jail system as rehabilitation to better themselves. Some haven't, but the ones that have, are you an employer willing to interview people that are struggling and trying to work their way out of poverty? And are you willing to just give them an interview? There's no commitment into hiring them. There's no commitment into saying, I'll make sure I interview 10 a day. It's just saying, can we send people to you that are calling into our hotline that are wanting to work? And we can connect you as businesses with talent and with people that are willing and wanting to work. And they actually say, there's testimony from businesses that say the most hardest working longevity employees that they have come through the Hope Florida program. And that's just the Hope Florida employer piece of it, the navigators and the hotline. I mean, I could sit here and talk about it for the next 20 minutes. I know we're kind of running out of time, but I encourage you to go on the website and look it up. It has created real measurable results, which is what we want. If we don't have results and we can't figure out if it's moving in the right direction or not, why are we doing it? Why are we continuing to pay the bills and we don't even know if they're even self-sufficient yet or not? We've got to start measuring this, and this is where the data through the Florida Chamber comes, and it's so significant to outline what you can't see with your own eyes and what most people won't see unless you're the sheriff's office or the school board most of the time. How are we going to make sure that these kids have a pathway out and take accountability as business leaders and as a community? With the state of Florida is bringing in $4 million an hour, over $35 billion a year into our state. And with an economy like that, there's no excuse why we have children suffering and going without. And families that want to work their way out of poverty, they have no pathway out because they don't know who to call. Nobody will take a chance on them, and they have no way to attain it. So we solve those 10 root causes: transportation and childcare, healthcare, job skills. It's foolproof. How does it not work?
I'm going to tell you, for decades, and you know the work that I used to do.
Sure.
Finally, if the Florida legislature is looking at the benefit problem, because I have said that for years and I've watched it, That's how you get children out of poverty, because these young mothers in the example, or fathers, young families, it does not help them to take that first step, because if they do, they lose their benefits and they're doing worse by going to work. And it's incentivizing these people struggling to not work. It's incentivizing them to stay on benefits, not because they want to be on benefits, because they feel like they have no other choice than to stay on benefits. And I've always said, decrease it a little bit, until it goes away. Help these people. I had one mom say, I'm working three part-time jobs to make it, but I can't make the appointments to get my food stamps, so they're trying to knock it off because I'm working. Like, shouldn't that be an excuse? The system is broken, and if we want to save money by having less people on the system, keep their benefits a little longer until they can start stepping up. Because once they start working, and you've been there, once they're on fire and get their legs to be workers, they will never need those benefits again, likely, never.
It's being talked about. I
Taxpayers
promise.
in the long run will save money.
Yeah, exactly.
They will. And children will get out of poverty. Fantastic. I'm so happy about that.
Well, I'm excited
Anything
to work
I
with you
can
guys.
do to push that with you? Let me know.
Absolutely. No, I'm excited. I would love to meet with you guys anytime. You can, I thought my phone number was on there, but you guys know how to get a hold of me. All of you do. So thank you so much.
I know we're running, I just have a couple of things. I assume Hope Florida's in Clarity? The software program that checks that they're not double, triple dipping?
Yes, they do, actually.
They have to be in Clarity?
Yep, they do.
Okay. The open table concept, we actually had that in 21. I assume the local chamber has told you about that. We did it at Copeland Park, and the county was involved in it.
I'm personally not too familiar with it, but I'm, again, interested in learning more about it, and I'll tap into that.
And there were some learning opportunities. There was good and bad, but it worked out pretty well overall. We just didn't keep the momentum, unfortunately. The benefits cliff, this is the important part. You can't really count on government to move quickly to fix things.
Why I'm here.
I always wondered why we can't essentially ask businesses to go ahead and give promotions without pay raises. And that way you're getting, if you're going to hit a benefits cliff, make an exception that this person stays at the, whatever is not going to trigger the benefits cliff, right? They get that greater experience and confidence and everything else, and then later they get another promotion that pops them above the benefits cliff, and if they're a good business and can afford it, they can then actually give a bonus later. It's just sort of a workaround to if you're truly invested in this, and I'm looking at a few of the employers out there that are that type of people.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you.
Well, thank you for the investment and the feedback.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kennard, any feedback?
Nothing, just all ears. I've been very impressed with the presentation, the information.
Thank you so much. Well, I look forward to being invited back and to keep you guys updated with the progress as I go on tour around the state and be able to bring back valuable things for our community. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Ms. Kogard.
Have a good day.
Okay, fantastic. Let's move into business. E1.
Motion to approve E1A through, good grief, G.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Kennard. Any public comment? Any further board discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. E2.
Motion to approve E2.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Kennard. Any public comment? Any further board discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Motion to approve E3, A, B, and C.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Kennard. Any public comment? Any further board discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Motion to approve E4.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kennard, second by Commissioner
A and B.
A and B.
A and B. Motion, or second by Commissioner Barrick. Any public discussion? Public comment? Any further board discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Motion to approve E5, A and B.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kennard, second by Commissioner Bays. Any public comment?
All right, Curtis Bryant, LaCanto. Packet that I gave you guys earlier, that's what this is for. So a couple things here first. First, you guys brought this to the agenda. Staff has notified you guys that this is in violation potentially of Executive Order 14173 from the President, which is about DEI and things like that, that the contracts and things in the federal side can't have those language in there. The Florida Attorney General on January 19th, 2026 also agreed with that decision. He wrote a letter saying that state contracts for purchasing can't have those types of things in there for that. Your next page over here, this has the disadvantaged businesses. It talks about the things that the contract has in it. And it says that FSA takes necessary affirmative steps to assure that the minority businesses, women's business enterprises, and labor surplus area firms are used when possible and as recommended. That goes in violation of that executive order and the state's thing. So I question how we're able to use those, this bid contract to piggyback off of that. Further, next page over, you have the price adjustments. As the prices for these things go into effect based on the contract, there's certain criteria that they have to meet to be able to raise the prices every year. Annual price adjustments, changes to manufacturing, production, and design, manufacturer certified adjustments, and equatable adjustments are the 4 reasons for a price increase. Next page over gives you the contracts pricing for this compactor at the base build of $1,024,342. Next page over shows you that in the contracting forms. Next page over is your options, which is where you build out your compactor. So it's a base compactor plus all these options come up to your total price. The reason I bring all this up is a couple different things. Your second to last page here is the purchase price for this compactor for Citrus County. Notice on here it says 7,500 hour service agreement is $116,124. I found a contract under the same exact contract for the state, and this is for Charlotte County. The 7,500 hour service agreement that they paid back in June of 2025 was $49,500. So my question there is, why are we paying $66,000 more for the same 7,500 hour service agreement under the same contract that we're piggybacking off of originally? Further, our quote here has no line items on it. It just gives us the overall price. Charlotte County's that I included as well gives you the line items. When you add those up, we're paying a total of $38,289.97 more than Charlotte County paid in June of 2025. So my question there is, if we're piggybacking off a contract, why are we getting charged more for the same services that Charlotte County is doing that doesn't take into account inflation and things like that? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? So my understanding was this was going through, it was a state contract and we were saving $300,000. This is interesting. The numbers, can anyone talk about that? Because I mean, what he's put in this agreement in Charlotte County, it's considerably less.
Yeah, we have Public Works that can answer some of those questions.
Sorry, Carlton, but just got in front of me.
Chair, Commissioners. So Brian with Brian Cope, our Fleet Director, also Interim Director for our Facilities Management, has got a lot of this breakdown and the reasonings behind a lot of these figures and calculations. I'm going to let Brian kind of explain the entire thing. He deals with the Florida Association for this contract every year.
Hello, Mr. Cope.
How we doing? Good afternoon. So I was fortunate enough to get this question ahead of time. So I reached out to the vendors to get them to explain directly, and then I have my own comments to add to it. If you don't mind, I'll go ahead and read the vendors' comments.
Please.
Brian, in the spirit of keeping this simple, the two deals compared are apples and oranges. Charlotte was replacing a machine over a year early on a duty cycle that has a blown engine, and the lead time for a new motor on that engine was over 6 months due to the limited allocations for Cummins. We were able to prorate the credit and remaining service agreements and extended warranty and apply the focus funds to each line item respectively. These were also pre-tariff days, which allow us to show a higher discount of contract pricing. You also know as a repeat customer that we fight hard for you to get the best pricing on every deal. So what I did, instead of breaking it down by year, I broke it down by hours. And if you do a comparison to their hours and our hours, so their contract, which was early, mid-2025, was $8.34 per hour for the warranty. Ours is $6.10 per hour for the warranty. The service agreement for theirs that was early in 2025 was $6.60 per hour, where ours break down to $15.48 per hour. The drive time difference to Charlotte County is 20 minutes to them and an hour and 36 minutes to us. So that impacts your service agreement in some way. And the fact that they got those prorated terms and the pre-tariffs. So I went a little step further and I looked at the compactor that we also purchased in early 2025. And our warranty was $5.90 per hour, and our service agreement was $9.70 per hour. And that would show the difference in their prorated terms.
Thank you. Board, any questions or comments? Commissioner Davis?
Outstanding explanation, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Outstanding commission items. Ms.
Can we get the buy-in from Davis on I-1?
Commissioner Davis, we gave a consensus when Mr. Landon was here discussing the removal of the age benefit to impact fees, and we all took a consensus. Would you like to give your consensus?
I thought I did already.
You did before you walked out, but I think as we were all going down the line, she would like to hear it again.
There were two consensuses. You did the first one, but there was one while you were out.
What was the second
It was
one?
removing the two columns.
What two columns?
The
She was
age
clarifying.
restrictions. The age restriction, the
That
discount.
was the first one.
No, the first one was whether or not to direct staff to work with Inspire to include the non-concurrency,
Yes and yes.
concurrency in
Thank
the
you.
comp plan.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks for keeping us straight, Amy.
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon. Veronica Campshire, Special Projects Manager for Administration. I have a few updates here for you today, and then when I conclude my updates, I will be bringing up the Economic Development Director, Steve Bayham, to give you guys a little preview of his new website. So the first one on your list does not have a star. This is an update I just received today. The Fort Island Trail Park Boat Ramp Expansion Feasibility Study. We're working with staff to ensure that all of our comp plan requirements are met for the conceptual plan, and we look to have that draft conceptual plan available in about 1 month. So we will have updates on that project shortly. We've also been asked to give updates on some other Fort Island projects, the fishing pier and docks up at the beach. Tom Henry and Eric Head are working with me to get that information together, and we'll bring that back at the next meeting. The Homosassa Sports Complex feasibility study is also moving forward. We had a kickoff meeting with them at the end of January, and we've had a few more discussions since then. So that's going well, and we will expect to see a draft conceptual plan on that shortly as well. There might be a little bit more work to do on that site since it does not have existing infrastructure. The Halls River Multi-Use Path, FDOT has completed the 90% plans, and the legislative request continues to move through. The inshore reef placement, Mr. Owens gave us a great presentation on the offshore. The inshore, we are currently working to prepare solicitation documents to go out to bid for the design of that. Core civic staffing in January was down slightly. I had a typo on my list. I said up, but down slightly from December, 94.44% at the end of January. And then finally, growth management staff has met virtually with the Betts Farm applicant in late January, and the staff report's currently under revision. So as soon as they have the information that they need, the next step would be to schedule a PDC hearing. Any questions on any of that?
I got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Who currently owns Betts Farm?
Citrus County.
Okay, so they're planning and doing all this planning taking it to the planning, and they don't own the land. Am I correct?
I would ask Mr. Landon to speak to that.
Okay, because that's what I thought. We still own the land,
That is my understanding.
and they're still taking stuff to the PDC. That's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, then Mr. Bayham will come on up and I'll drive over here at the computer.
Thank you. Hello there.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. It is a fantastic day. After a long-awaited several few months, we finally have our unveiling of our new dedicated website for economic development, citrusadvantage.com. This website has been many, many months in the making. I encourage all of you, after today is over, as well as the public, to go and check out the new website. We're very excited about it. You'll find lots of information, lots of data, lots of statistics. Keep in mind, this is the first public version. For me, it's like version 10,000 as we've been doing this, but this is our first public version. It is a growing site. This is our foundation. So over the next several months, as well as ongoing indefinitely, we will be adding lots of new features, lots of new information as that data becomes available, as well as there's site resources and community information as well. In addition to this site, when the company that we got to develop it, we also got with them a new branding identity and marketing plan. So with that, you'll see at the top left corner of the site there, we have our new department logo, which we're extremely excited about, as well as our new marketing message, which is a natural advantage. We're trying to tie in our marketing efforts to the Nature Coast theme that we have, the relationship between business and community as well as nature. So that cohesive branding that we have there, crossing over into different aspects, not just in business life, but also into our quality of life that we enjoy here in Citrus. So I invite everyone to go and check it out. If you find any tweaks, again, please be gentle. It is brand new, so we're still adjusting as we go. But as I said, it is going to be a growing thing. We will be adding more and more information. And keep in mind, too, when you peruse this, it is tied to some socials, and we're going to be ramping up our social messaging as well as things go from an economic development standpoint. I am not an expert in that arena. I am very lazy when it comes to social media, so it is something that we are growing into as well. But the site is designed for attraction purposes from a business perspective. So it is designed to get the attention of folks who are outside of Citrus County who may not even know of Citrus County. So think of business executives that are making decisions, as well as site selectors and consultants and property managers and the like. So it is designed for folks who really don't know much about Citrus. So current events that are happening here locally probably won't be on that page all that much. We're going to leave that to the county page as well. But this, again, we're extremely excited, and this is our front door opening to the world on the World Wide Web for business attraction. So again, thank you all, and please check it out. And if you find any errors, mistakes, or updates that need to be made, please just let me know, and we will get to work on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Alt.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. Alexander Alt, Intergovernmental Affairs Liaison and Administrative Development Review Expediter. I have a very quick update this time for the board, just to kind of keep everyone abreast of what's going on at the federal level and then also at the state level. So first, before we get into the state legislative session stuff, wanted to highlight really briefly, so the board's Homosassa Lift Station Improvements Project did make it into the federal budget. It was actually in the Interior Environment Appropriations Package, passed about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks ago now, and that was $750,000 for the Board of County Commissioners. I did also want to highlight some other dollars that are coming to Citrus County. So Crystal River, the city of Crystal River had an appropriation in there for the wastewater treatment plant rehabilitation project. That was a $750,000 project. And then the Citrus County Sheriff's Office had a $3 million project in a different appropriations package, the Commerce, Justice, Science, and Related Agencies package for their enhanced radio interoperability project. I practiced saying that word a bunch of times before this to make sure I got it right. So that's where we are in the federal level right now. We're going to be planning for the next fiscal year at the federal level of what projects we'd like, the board would like to see in that. So we're going to be getting those plans set now and moving forward in the next few weeks. So now shifting gears a little bit to the state legislative session. Some of these dates, when I put this together for the deadline for the board for this board meeting, some of these dates have since changed because as of now, we're having a little bit of friction we're seeing between the House and the Senate. Nothing too crazy, but originally the plan was looking like we were going to see some chairs' budget proposals in week 4. We're now in week 5, and there seem to be some timing disagreements between the chambers. So now we're looking at potentially, hopefully this week, probably Thursday, we're going to see some initial chair's budget proposals coming out to see which projects have made it into the process as we get into budget conferencing. And because of that, that second bullet point that talks about budget conferencing, that may change a little bit since we're a week behind. We may look closer to the end of session before we start seeing anything, but I will keep everyone updated as we get a little closer on that. And again, originally I had planned to walk through each of our projects to let you know which ones made it in and which ones didn't. I can't do that today, but hopefully at the next board meeting I'll be able to do that. So, and then shifting gears a little bit onto the policy side of things, I have 2 bills. You don't have to read all that. I'll give you a quick walkthrough, but 2 bills I want to highlight. They're 2 preemption bills that are going on, and as you can imagine, with preemption, a lot of times, unfortunately, sometimes there's a few bad apples around the state that do things and that attract the ire of the legislature, and they create some preemption bill that will preempt the local government's ability to do something. And in this case, we have HB 405 and SB 526, which has to do with commercial construction projects. And it has a couple different topics inside of these bills, but in general, it has some preemptions related to public construction contracts. I don't think anything that impacts Citrus County in that particular portion of it, but in general, it specifies that a government agent or entity may not enforce a contract provision which limits the rights of a contractor to recover costs, damages, or obtain a time extension for delays in performance of the contract that are caused by the local government or its agents. And then also, it may not put a provision in their contracts that says that limits contractors' ability to receive time extensions due to concurrent delays if at least one of the delays was caused by the government agency. So those are 2 as far as public contracts go. The next big preemption in that bill has to do with uniform commercial building code. So this preemption would create a uniform building code application, a uniform commercial building code application that will be used statewide. Right now, it's done at the local level, and it puts within that a bunch of different things that would need to be included in that application. But if we're passed, it tasks the Florida Building Commission with creating that application and dispersing it to all the local governments, and then they are then required to use that. And then it has some preemptions related to permit fees for private providers, largely a lot of the language in that portion of it. I can get into details if anyone has questions on it, but largely that portion, we generally do a lot of that already. And so that particular bill, I think the big thing to think about is that uniform commercial building permit application. This bill is looking like it's pretty close to the end of the process now. So on the House side, it's actually up for a special order to be voted on by the full House on the 11th. And then in the Senate, it's at the very end in its 3rd committee stop and rules. So we'll see if it ends up making all the way through the end, and if so, we'll provide an update at that time. And the other bill I wanted to highlight is another preemption bill, HB 1227 and SB 1444. Again, there's a large swath of different topics within this preemption bill, and as you can imagine, when you see a bill entitled Preemption to the State, it's very general and can generally have a lot of different provisions that maybe are unrelated other than their preemptions. But when this was presented in committee on the Senate side, the general gist of it was that the focus was on protecting religious institutions' ability to hold services. And I guess there, again, if you go back to there's sometimes some bad apples that make things challenging for the rest of the state. There were some local governments that were preventing the ability for church services to park temporarily on the property because it exceeded the amount of parking they were allowed. So because of that, the state has deemed that they would like to preempt that completely from local governments. And those are and basically it says that all these activities may occur in either commercial or residential use parcels. So that was the general gist of it, but unfortunately, within this bill, there was a bunch of other sections that touched on, that were preemptions. There were some related to issuances of certificates of occupancy and building permits. There was some other preemptions related to mutual benefit corporations, but there was one in particular at the very end of the bill that had to do with parking at home-based businesses. And this concern, I would imagine this would be of particular concern to a lot of local governments, because this preemption basically says it prohibits local governments from regulating parking standards at home-based businesses, including the regulation of parking of vehicles or trucks on land zoned as residential if the parcel size is greater than 2 acres, and then prohibiting local governments from regulating the parking of trailers or heavy equipment on land zoned as residential if the parcel size is greater than 5 acres. So this, again, would have been a potential concern. It's gotten through one committee on the Senate side. During the committee, actually, some of the senators on that committee raised some of these concerns about, hey, we get what you're trying to do on the religious institution side of things, but some of these other preemptions, we have a lot of concerns about working those out. So they said if this bill were to move forward, they would like to see potential changes or working out some of those concerns. But so on the Senate side, that has been held in one committee, where it's going to be up next in judiciary, but we haven't seen any movement, and on the House side, it hasn't moved at all. So those are the 2 bills I just wanted to highlight. Also, a quick update. At the last board meeting, we talked about the feedback surveys for the legislative priorities of the board, and that has been put in place, and we've had we've got a lot of great feedback from the folks in the community. As of the time of writing this, I had over 50 responses. Now I have over 140 responses. So we have gotten quite a good showing from our folks in the community, and we're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to leave it open until February 18th, because we would like some time once we have all the responses in, we'd like some time to get it to our elected officials so they could look at it before they get to budget conferencing, which will be those final few weeks of session. So that's kind of the cutoff we landed on. So, and that's all I have. Any questions from me?
Commissioner Bays.
So on Senate Bill 1444, the paper published my article. I am not opposed to economic development, as some might say. What my concern is that I'll give an example. Our state representative lives in an area that's non-restricted, so somebody could literally move in on a 5-acre tract next door to him and open up a diesel mechanic repair shop. I don't think that's what anybody wants. I think that's a very unintended consequence, and I would be interested in having legal or maybe Eric Landon weigh in. If this would pass, you're saying you have a home-based business, you could literally have almost any business move out, buy a residential lot that's 2 acres or 5 acres. They're only going to pay residential property taxes, and you're going to forego any kind of commercial development and have absolutely no oversight. You throw code compliance completely out the window. Is that pretty accurate?
That's a pretty accurate assessment of it. Unfortunately, that was...
So you get, on 2 acres, you could have a used car lot next to your house.
So that would be something that, I would defer to legal on that, but as it stands in the bill, it looks like they have somewhat of a leg to stand on. Largely, with how it is currently with home-based businesses, they are allowed to exist in statute. You can have a home-based business, but you still have to comply with the LDC. So this seems to preempt that completely. So I would defer to Madam County Attorney on that.
It's just, I understand a home-based business if you're running an accounting, or you might be a single salon kind of person, But if you're in neighborhoods, and I'll use Heatherwood or maybe even the Highlands as an example, if somebody owns a 2-acre or 5-acre tract, you can have delivery trucks running in and out, you could have heavy equipment running in and out. There's a former commissioner that has called me and has been upset about somebody that bought a 2-acre lot and they're running a business, a landscape business with heavy equipment, and they're parking it all next to their house. So those are just examples of what's going on, not you, Josh, because, yeah.
He's running the business.
Used car lot. I get plenty of code compliance calls, and this is just going to add another layer to it that we will absolutely not have any control over it. So I only raise the red flag for the people that are living in those areas because that sometimes tends to be some of the more affordable neighborhoods that don't have HOA or some type of subdivision restrictions to them, and they want to live out there. They just don't. They intend for it to be residential, not an open invitation for running any type of business that you want.
And not to speculate, but at this time, again, that bill has only been in one committee stop, and they raised a lot of those concerns. As we're in week 5 of 9, and as we go forward, if we get a little bit further along, I would say week 6, and we haven't seen a second committee stop for that bill, unless they try to amend the language onto another one, I wouldn't expect to see it to continue to move at that point.
Better to be safe than sorry.
Yes, ma'am. I'll keep an eye on it.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Alt. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Rodriguez, anything?
I am nothing.
Okay. Then we are advisory board nominations. So, board, I just want to remind everybody that when we chose to form this board, we were looking for, and we talked about it a lot, the right type of people and the right type of backgrounds. I went over everybody's application. I'm so happy that and thankful for all the people that applied. I only found 3 names that I thought fit the bill, and I would like to talk to you all about that. Commissioner Davis?
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Oh, thank you.
I was gonna ask if we could, at your pleasure, have Steve Bayham come up and go over those qualifications again. I know that they were pretty heavy hitting. I've been a lifetime business person, and I'm not sure I would qualify. So we just need to go through those again, and I think we need to reopen it.
Thank you. Anyone else before Mr. Bayham comes up? You're back again.
Yes. Originally, when we set all this up, we did have a very lengthy discussion, you are correct, about the type of individual with backgrounds, knowledge, and experience that we would be looking for. This is a board that will be looking at some high finance deals, lots of bonding, lots of potential bonding with additional outside financing that could garner into additional contracts. It can be some complicated structures that come out of this, other than just a straight bond approval. So some of those backgrounds that we would be looking for would be folks with investment experience, high investment experience, a high business acumen, finance backgrounds, accounting, just lots of banking. Insurance would even work in that realm, real estate finance, anything that falls into those types of categories. I think I had I went as far as like quant data analysis and things of that nature. So those would be the typical or most ideal backgrounds that you would be looking for. Someone with a business acumen that is experienced in dealing with large deals, large numbers. I know a lot of times some people just say you're just adding zeros to the number, so it's really just another number. But when you start talking high dollar amounts, it gets very complicated. So yes, those were the backgrounds that we ideally were looking for. Folks that would have an acumen to be able to understand not just the numbers, but also the terminology that goes into this, because there are contracts that are associated with these. But I also like to advise that I am one that likes a little bit of diversity when it comes to a board like this. So that is not necessarily the end-all be-all that they have to have that, but they could have experienced some of that in their work life or personal life or education at some point while being in a different field. So we also have to consider that, you know, a good mix or diversity of different backgrounds and experiences can be healthy, but you do need some folks on that board to really be able to steer the conversation and the judgment of all five congruently. So,
I feel like the three that I looked at were diverse,
yes.
but had that high-level experience, high-dollar, very large contracts, management of those large contracts. And I think we can still look for the diverse five that you would like, but I'm not ready for this yet. Commissioner Davis?
Would you mind sending an email, I assume, to all five of us, just with the bullet points of the types of backgrounds? Because I'd be happy to push it on my social.
Yes.
To see if we can get some more applications in.
Be happy to do that.
And I would suggest, Ms. Rodriguez, that maybe we push it on our own county social if we're not already.
Yeah. We did start this process right before the holidays. I think we did an initial 90-day period. So I want to say it was, we approved at the end of October. So we hit the prime holiday period, November, December, January. So I would suggest we just open it up for anywhere from 45, 60, or 90 days, whatever the board feels like, or we can just open it up until we feel that we've hit an additional number, whatever the case may be. But I would say a minimum another 45 days. That hopefully will give us enough time. If we did 45, that'll put us out to March 27. 60 would put us April 11th, and 90 would put us at May 11th. So I think 45 days, it wouldn't be back before a board until sometime in April if we went to the end of March.
I know someone that would have that financial acumen to be fantastic, and if he doesn't want to serve, I bet you he knows other people that I can talk to. So I would suggest the same for all of us.
Anyone else?
Madam Chair, will you keep these applications also in the mix?
I would like to, because like I said, I've picked out a couple of names out of here that I think could really help you. So.
Yeah, if we're not going to select today, I would advise that we keep all active applications active throughout the process and make a full review should any additional ones come later on.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I suggest we keep it open for an additional 60 days. This way it gives everybody a chance. Keep all the ones we have and see what we can get in 60 days. Because, you know, we gave it 90 days and we got a bunch, but I know I have 4 that I liked. That I mean, I went through them and I wrote down very hard decision because it was very hard looking for that. But I think 45 is iffy. I think a 60-day window would be a much better one.
Well, I guess that would be up to the board if you're looking to motion that. I'm not sure how to. We have a suggestion.
I'd like to make a motion that we open the Industrial Development Authority the resumes for these positions for an additional 60 days and keep all the resumes we've received so that we can consider all of the applicants.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barracks, second by Commissioner Davis. Any public comment? Any further board discussion? Commissioner Kennard?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Bayham. Commissioner Bays?
Just a couple of things I wanted to mention from the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council meeting that we are having our summit once again, the 6th one, May 14th and 15th. Will be at the Palmetto Marriott Resort, which is Bradenton. A lot of good stuff in there. If you're interested in signing up, please go online and take a look. We're going to have conversations about economic resiliency, workforce development, innovative technology, education, training resources, resilient infrastructure systems, adaptive funding for resilient Florida, are just a few of the topics there. And then it's also Project Phoenix, which talks about after the hurricane, with public safety, how that works. And they're going to be doing a workshop here on April 29th at the EOC building. So any businesses or people that are interested in what happens and how you stand your community back up after a natural disaster, hurricane preparedness, that will be taking place at the EOC here in Citrus County.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis.
Yes, ma'am. Almost 2 weeks ago, Avis Cole and his VCB team did a fantastic job with the Discover Magazine launch party. I was glad to see that our colleague Commissioner Bays was able to make it as well. Good job. Shout out to staff on that. Secondly, last week we had the 3 green printing workshops, public workshops. We totaled about 100 and something people. Had a few folks who were frequent flyers that came to all 3, and no, they didn't get to vote all 3 nights. But it was really an amazing experience to have people look at those maps and engage in how to keep the nature in the Nature Coast, so Forever Nature Coast. We do have an online survey that is open for 1 more week from today. And because this is on video and people can back it up, it's a long URL, but I'm going to read it anyway. surveymonkey.com/r/citrus conservation. So if you want to take the online survey, that would be the address, or if it'll be on county social, it'll be on my social. You can. It was in the article in the Chronicle today. So that's online as well. So multiple ways to find it, and we really do want to hear what you think. It's a wonderful educational experience as well as to how to do land conservation here in the county that we love. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Kennard.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I hate to say even start the discussion because the discussion is going on about data centers everywhere. But I would like for this board to give direction to staff to expedite the process, if you will, of putting some guidelines in place in our LDC. Now, whether or not those guidelines could be applied to land that's already zoned industrial or potentially another piece of property is irrelevant. If we don't have a chapter in there to protect existing customers from potentially hikes in their electricity bill for increased power generation, that's a problem. If we don't have guidelines in there to protect our environment from excessive water withdrawals, that's a problem. If we don't have something in there to protect surrounding residents from this low-level noise that we hear about from these things, that's a problem as well. What's not a problem is companies talking about investing $5 to $10 billion in our community. So we should be ready to welcome these things, but on our terms. We need the jobs here. We need good-paying jobs here. We need the investment here. We need the investment that these things bring into the community. I believe it was Mr. Hicks, I apologize if I said, was that right? Has said a couple times publicly and in email that these could be a very good thing, but you got to have these guidelines in place to protect not only your existing residents, but the environment as well. And I have said for many, many years, probably as long as I've been in business and have done a number of different business deals, that when you're first getting together, it's nice. Everybody's in love. You got to figure out how you're going to get divorced at the same time, though. And so what right now may take hundreds and hundreds of acres of servers, 20 years from now may fit in this room. And so we need to look at, we need to consider, what does that look like when they're done? What does it look like when they can take all of those servers and put them in a closet somewhere and they don't need this property anymore, or they don't need this large warehouse anymore. So I would want to make sure that we have something in our LDC that protects the community. Is it a bond, to restore that ground to what it once was? Or is that a bond to restore it to some state, so that what we don't get is, we've made our billions of dollars now, we've made our investment back, now we're out, and Citrus County community is left with these large warehouses, okay? So those are the things that I think that need to be considered. And it's not, look, I don't think we have to reinvent the wheel here. I sent an email, I believe I sent it to Ms. Lynn. And it's in the backup. You can do a Google search and find some boilerplate language, as I did, or using AI to create some boilerplate language. But I would like for our staff, I'd like for this board to give direction to staff to start getting after this and write us a specific code for Citrus County to protect our community, so that if or when an applicant steps forward and says, we found this 20-acre piece that we want to build a small data center on, or, right now the Holder industrial site is 500 acres. We want to build something on this 500 acres. Can we force them to comply with a new LDC code? Maybe not. I will tell you, there's another opinion out there that says we can, because there's not a specific application that's come forward yet for it. So that's stuff to be hashed out later. But as it stands right now, I would like to see this board direct staff to get after this, get this process moving, to put a specific code in our LDC as it relates to data centers.
Is that your motion?
That's it.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Kennard, second by Commissioner Bays. Anyone want to say anything, or we can open it to the public?
While I agree with Commissioner Kennard in everything he said about the concerns and figuring out how to do this right, I am a little worried, since we have a current application, that would put us in legal peril to start this right away.
We can write new code into our LDC anytime we want. It may or may not be able to be applied to a specific application, but we can't wait on a time when we don't have any applications in-house to write new code. So we can address it.
Commissioner Barrick.
I agree with Commissioner Kennard and Commissioner Bays. We need to do something now, because we waited too long with the marijuana one. And we got one more store because we had waited too long. Whether we can make them, at this point, abide by a new ordinance, that's up to the legal department. But we need to do something. And if we don't do anything, that's a mistake.
I agree with you. No time like now. The only thing I would, if you're open to kind of adding to, I like where your head is about putting provisions in place for a data center. But we didn't know to do that 15 years ago.
Right.
There's something else out there that our 2026 minds can't comprehend, whether it's industry to make personal hovercrafts or robots or whatever it is that may need something that affects the environment. I would like to broaden that. So we talked about noise levels. Let's not just make that for data centers. Let's, for whatever industry use that maybe we don't know what's coming, for those low-level sounds, water use, power, all the things that you want to do. I just want to broaden that to something else that's coming down the road, if we can kind of add that.
I'm fine. I don't think I think it's going to be a work in process or a work in progress. But, we need to get something in front of us to start saying, and getting feedback from people out there in business and industry and saying, this is way too restrictive. There's other ways to handle these concerns. The electricity, for just for conversation sake, my understanding, there's one of the electric utilities to our south has already put into place a tariff system so that any of the data centers that are currently using their electricity are not only paying for their electricity, but they're paying a tariff on top of that. Those tariff dollars will be used to construct additional generation capacity. My understanding is that Duke has already filed that. I don't know if that goes through the PSC or where that goes to. My understanding is that Duke has already filed that so that in the event that a data center or any entity that is going to be needing an exceptional amount of electricity, that they're not only covering their costs, but they're paying a tariff on top so that those additional construction costs are not passed along to existing customers.
Madam, oh, Commissioner Bass.
I'm not sure if I heard you correct. I think the tariffs, the way that it's been explained to me, it's the tariff to get the lines, the infrastructure there. And then maybe Alex can help. There's a consumer advocacy bill going through right now, which is something that's been high on the governor's. He doesn't want citizens to have to pay any extra, for like the startup cost. So that's where the ongoing cost for the electric to get it up and running, he doesn't want that passed on to the consumer. But the tariff was just to facilitate getting the infrastructure to their site. That's how I understood it.
I understood those for additional generation capacity as well.
Alexander All, Intergovernmental Affairs Liaison. So, yes, the governor has a priority bill, HB 1007, that addresses a lot of those concerns. Unfortunately, at this point, that bill has not moved really at all. We'll see if they decide to amend it into another vehicle or something like that. There's a bill on
another bill.
Yes, there's a bill on the Senate side.
Pardon me?
Avila? Is it Senator Avila?
I think so, yeah.
Senator Avila
Yes.
has another bill that does touch on that, and that has seen some movement. It got through one committee. At this time, it hasn't gotten to its second committee, but I'm waiting to see, because during that discussion, there was a lot more support for it, that we'll see if that one ends up moving. And if that does happen, what I would be looking to see is they take the language from the Senate version of the bill and amend it on the House side to more closely align with that. So that's what I would be looking at this point.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to open it to the public. If you would like to speak on this agenda item.
Chair? If I can please get clarification, because there was a whole conversational in his recommendation. Can I read what I have in here?
Please.
Okay. Motion to give staff direction to expedite the process to begin drafting a chapter in the Land Development Code regarding data centers. Does that sound good?
That sounds good. I would like it to be opened up if Commissioner Kennard wouldn't mind amending that just for
Sure.
So how would you like me to amend it?
data centers and other industrial uses. But the attorneys can figure it out later. The staff can figure that out later.
All right, that's fine.
I think the clerk's looking to get the language, and you all probably want to make a motion to that regard.
Right. So Commissioner Kennard already made the motion. Commissioner Bays seconded the motion.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So, but she needs to know what to put in the record for what the motion is.
Correct. Right now, it's just regarding data centers. Would you like to alter that, amend that to add other industries as well?
Rather than, and I'm not opposed to adding additional language to it, rather than adding that in there right now and making the sausage on the fly up here, why don't we leave it at data centers, and then when they come back with it, we can add additional language to that before it goes through the whole PDC process and then back to us.
I think staff gets it, right? Okay. Are we good? Okay. Hi there.
Skater Bob, Floral City. Jeff, good presentation. And Diana, your comments supports a lot of things that Jeff said. If you think about data centers, in terms of a business, it's an excellent business. It really is. And it's going to be prolific. The main driving force of the data centers, guess what it is? AI. AI is the number one, and we're at the infancy of AI in terms of public use of AI. So when we get a data center here, and I say when, it's going to grow. It's not going to be a single building, or it's going to continue to grow and expand over years and years and years. And yes, Jeff, there is an alternative already in the making where the size of the processor will be so small that the data centers will be in high Earth orbit and it ultimately eliminate. But we're talking years and years out, but we're already working in that direction, high Earth orbit data centers. So my main concern is, how do we protect our most precious resource? Because our number one most precious resource is what makes Citrus County in terms of community thriving with nature. And what is that?
Water.
It's water. And what is the main location of our water? The aquifer, the rivers, the streams, everything else is secondary. It's the aquifer. So in terms of the location of the highest concentration of water, it's where we are, Central Florida. We have the purest water. We have the purest water in all of Florida. And right now we have the one that have the most demand. Now, how does water what's the relationship between water and the data centers? They need cooling. So cooling can be done a number of ways, running water through heat exchangers. That's the most simple. Another way is to do cooling through refrigeration systems, which needs electricity. Another way is to use evaporator condensers, another way of cooling. But all of those, even if you don't take it directly, but you do it indirectly, it's going to require power generation. Power generation also needs cooling. So if you say, well, we're not going to use the water out of the aquifer, but we're going to have other alternate resources, you're going to dramatically increase your power demand. Guess what? Your generation stations use water. So water is the essence of what we need to protect in this decision.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next speaker. What do you got there?
Can I play a recording as part of my 3 minutes?
I suppose so, as long as it, fits our guidelines.
I think it does. I looked at him. Joe Hicks from Beverly Hills, and I'm here today. The earlier speaker was right. The modern high-tech data centers can be having zero water usage targets and goals like your radiator in your car. You guys know about dog whistles? You blow it, you can't hear it. So that's a high frequency, so you can't hear it. But a low frequency also is the same thing. It's so low you can't hear it, you feel it. It comes in your lungs and you feel it. There's a rating, and all of the Citrus County regulations are written off this rating, weighting they call it, and it's called DBA, DB alpha. And there's a DBC also, but the DB alpha ratings are designed for humans. And so frequencies that humans cannot hear are discounted in those weightings, okay? And so what happens is that a particular frequency, and this particular frequency that you're hearing right here, that is the noise that the leading edge of a power generation coolant blade makes.
Well, that's annoying.
It's very annoying, and the noise, this is not highly scientific because it's an Android, but this is the current Citrus County limit. Right here, 24/7, 365, never stop. Other counties, which I gave you in the emails and so forth that I gave you copies of the regulations, they have implemented DBC band regulations. So I'm just going to turn this over to a C band, and the Prince William County regulation. That's the top of the legal limit. Today, wow, I have so much time left. Today, you can say, in a future data center application in Citrus County, Florida, we have a DBC waiting and can exceed 60 DBC at night. Boom, that's it, you're done. Once it goes in, then in the last email I sent to you, I linked to you in the body of the email a disaster in Memphis. Nothing you can do, it's already there. Do you still hear the hum? I still hear it. Listen. Now, this noise, by the way, I have 10 seconds left.
He can hardly hear me.
This noise, by the way, this noise is low enough. You know, you hear boom, 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 and you hear it a mile away. This noise goes through walls. It's unobstructed by walls. There's like berms might help, but a wall or a containment area, the lower the noise, it just goes right through.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks.
Thank you for
Good presentation.
a little slack here. And the walk away is how easy it is to fix it. All right, so I just want to be positive.
Thank you. No speaker from you?
No, I can't top that. So, Commissioners, Josh Wooten, CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm becoming a Joe Hicks fan. I don't know how long that'll last, but he's bringing some good stuff to y'all on this issue, and he's offered to school me up, and our times haven't aligned yet. But anyway, that's good stuff. And I can't think of anything to argue with you about the standards that you said: water, noise, and there was one other, Commissioner. Power. Divorce. So, but at the same time, the chamber really would like to have one of these. You know, we lost a nuclear plant and all the taxability that came with it. Even if it's 100 high-paying jobs, we desperately need that. So, you had Eric addressed our governmental affairs meeting this morning. I hope that doesn't get him in trouble, but I think y'all want him out in the community. But he feels like they've got their hands around this, you know, and I feel like they're not going to sell us out. And by no means does the chamber want to sell us out, you know. I remember I was raised in Jacksonville, and you went through there, and there was a kind of an odor in the air. You know, that was the pulp mill. And now they've got technology to where you don't smell that. But the old mayor, when they used to complain about it, he said, it smells like money to me, you know. But we can't sell out our beautiful community and our nature coast for bad things. However, we don't want to be so restrictive. You know, Alex can tell you that there was a bill going through the legislature that would basically ban these things in Florida. Commissioner, we discussed that in Tallahassee. Couldn't be within 5 miles of a waterway and all this silly stuff. So I just hope that we kind of, once again, balance it. You guys are also on the right track about what's there in 20 years if they do it. You know, the nuke plant, they had a decommissioning plan. It was filed with the feds, with the state, with the locals. So that would be very good. And then a lot of the taxation is probably going to be depreciated over the years because it's mostly on equipment that's inside of it. So it's not going to be the cash cow that maybe some people think it is. But Citrus County badly needs something like this if we can get it right. So the chamber supports y'all doing everything you can to protect those three biggies, but also don't be so restrictive that you run it off. And that was a great presentation, Mr. Hicks. It really was. That would drive me nuts if I had to live next to the first one.
Thank you. Next speaker.
I think Kenneth Ferguson, Fall City. I think Mr. Kennard hit the nail with a hammer right on. My experience with the state legislature, they're not going to do anything that inhibits commercial business. If they do, it's going to be so light it don't matter. And what they're also going to do is say they have full authority over this legislation, and you won't be able to do a doggone thing about it. So the longer we wait to do this, the more trouble we're going to have. So I think you ought to start doing it tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think it is starting tomorrow. Next speaker, please.
All right, Curtis Bryant, Lecanto. So to add a little bit to the noise discussion, your current code for no noise ordinances states, the decibels and all those things. To kind of Mr. Hicks's points, that doesn't necessarily get the issue here. So I would also look at your exemptions because we saw this with the concrete plant. They can be operating, at a higher decibel levels than what's allowed by statutes or the ordinance. But because the equipment is operating within spec of the manufacturer, it's allowed. They can't do anything to stop it. So look at those things as well for those. Further, so a little bit of clarification on the motion. I understand that Holder Industrial Park has its own comp plan, its own LDC. I heard you guys say the LDC as a whole. Does this include the LDC plan for the comp plan or the Holder Industrial Park as well as the regular LDC for that? And if it doesn't, I would encourage you guys to expand the motion to address the Holder Industrial Park as well. Thank you.
That makes me raise an eyebrow. Do you have anything that you can say about that?
There's not a separate LDC for the Holder Industrial Park. The Holder Industrial Park policy within the comprehensive plan is an incorporation of more specific requirements that we would generally find in an LDC. It was an overlay plan or a special addition to the comprehensive plan. So I believe that the criteria that's within it now is one step, but I think Commissioner Kennard is going one step further in the LDC specific to data centers. The Holder Industrial Park is not specific to data centers.
Thank you. Well said.
Madam Chair. I too am becoming a fan of Mr. Hicks. He brought up dog whistle. We should also, I think, because we are the Nature Coast, make sure that whatever we do for sound for data centers or other industries, that we're also considering super high pitch, so super low pitch, how that is affecting, as Ramesh would say, bugs and bunnies and butterflies, because that could seriously impact wildlife in the area.
Well, your little demonstration has impacted me. You owe me 2 Tylenol. I just want to tell you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I broke the rules if I harmed you.
Oh. Well, we'll just say it's all okay, though. It was a great demonstration. But yeah, that I couldn't imagine. And the speaker wasn't facing that way. It was facing this way. And yeah, that drumming literally gave me a headache.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
Should have done. Just a couple final comments on it. These things, it's no secret that these things don't have the 500 or 600 jobs that we lost when Duke closed. But I think the days of those industries coming to communities are gone. Robotics has taken the place of many, many workers, even in the biggest of manufacturing facilities. And that's only going to continue as AI, the use of AI, as the use of robotics increases. So when we can get the interest of an entity that could bring, maybe it's 75 jobs, maybe it's 100 jobs, that's significant. In today's environment, that's significant, and it's something that we should be, I believe we should be open to, again, on our terms, making sure that we protect our community, protect our residents, and most importantly, our environment. One thing, and I still don't know, so maybe there's brighter minds in our audience or out in the community that can help us to encourage this. Outside of the hyperscale size data centers, which are the largest, The second and third tier ones now are no longer exempt from paying sales tax. The hyperscale ones, my understanding is they're still sales tax exempt. I would like to see us encourage any entity, and I think Hillsborough County right now, I think already has like 13 or 14 data centers of different sizes. I would like to see how we can encourage them to have a point of sale for their servers in the county. Now, those servers naturally aren't going to be manufactured in the county at this point, but they can have a point of sale for any server distribution center in the world right here in the county. That allows us, when they replace those servers every 2 to 3 years, to capitalize on the sales tax. So yes, we're going to capitalize on, should something like this happen, we'll capitalize on the ad valorem tax for a large warehouse. But it's those servers in there that are the multi-billion-dollar investments. And when those things have to be replaced every 2 or 3 years, I would like to see us realize the sales tax from that, rather than Denver, Colorado, or Houston, Texas, or wherever else their point of sale, might be. I don't know how we can encourage them to do that, but that would be an ongoing benefit to the community beyond just the jobs, beyond just ad valorem taxes.
Maybe Mr. Bayham can look into that some. Help us with that. Commissioner Barrick.
All right, as I sit here, we're on the cutting edge of setting the parameters for industry in Citrus County. Because as most of you know, we don't have any set industries. We have businesses that are not real big. Okay, we did have Duke. We do have the school system, and we do have the county. Those are our big industries. Okay, and Duke no longer is the biggest. It's, so the thing is, this is the cutting edge. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of history. My mother worked for IBM in Manhattan, and she pulled tubs when she was 16 and 17 years old. Then, as the tubs left, then she did punch cards. Nobody complained about the trees that were cut down for all those punch cards. And a lot of people out there that are watching this know that they took the punch cards home, they folded them, stapled them, and they made Christmas wreaths that they sold or gave out for their organizations. As my mother got older and they moved to a different section of the United States, she worked in the data centers for major companies in Michigan. And it's ice cold in those rooms. You wear 2 sweaters. And that's the biggest thing, is it is ice cold. But that's how the history has gone. They don't get rid of the data centers. So if we allow data centers, they won't get rid of it. They will find something else to use that space and replace it with. So that will be our cutting edge, our industry, and our county. Now, I have been to meetings where I've talked to some of the commissioners, other commissioners in counties that do have a data center, and they are really happy with the funds coming into the county. So, that's the one good side of it, and I didn't talk to any commissioners that had negative things to say. But I am sure there are counties out there that don't like it. That noise that you heard, if you've got rhinitis, that ringing is in your ear all day long anyhow. The little bit that he had here didn't bother me in the least. Oh. So when he went down, I didn't hear it at all. I still had the ringing in my head that I normally have. And I'm sure a lot of you out there know what I'm talking about. So the thing is, we have to be realistic. And I think this is a good step. We need to approve this, motion and get it started.
Well, let's get to that point. Anybody else before I call the vote? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And Commissioner Barrick, we are up to you.
I had 2 things. Well, once we get all this information back from these lovely people out there taking surveys and things, I would like to know the number I want the percent of voting citizens, in other words, take the number of people that voted, and I'd like to see the number of people that answered the surveys. I want to know what the percentage is. What was the percentage of those who voted? The citizens who voted. If we've got 166,000 citizens and I'm getting 1,000 questionnaires back, I want to know what that percentage is.
Voted for what? I'm sorry.
For what? Because I want to see, we're spending money on all these lovely consultants. We're wasting time on this, wasting time on that. You know, go here, go there, do this, do that. I want to see, is it worth spending all this money for something that maybe 0.5% of our citizens are worried about? If we're going to maybe add a 1 cent sales tax referendum, if only 0.5% of our voting population care about it, why did we spend all this money? Why didn't we just talk to the citizens, get their opinion, and say, okay, we're going to do a referendum or we're not going to do a referendum? And at this point, I'd like to know if there was an update. That was my second thing. Is there an update on when that possible referendum is coming back to the board for discussion?
I just want a point of clarification that money, no taxpayer money was spent. The chamber started that and there was no cost. And then Commissioner
didn't cost
Davis
us anything.
raised the money.
I know hers didn't cost anything, you know.
The only one that's cost anything is the comprehensive plan update, and we simply don't have the staff to have done that. And we got a really good deal on that, so. And I personally, even though, you know, it's probably gonna be a few hundred people that weigh in on green printing, and I'm really kind of shocked and disappointed as much as people are screaming about building over the nature coast that we didn't have more, but we still have to give them the opportunity, you know, and so, and it's the same thing with the comprehensive plan. So.
Is that what you're talking about? That's why I asked, what are you voting for what? You're talking about
Well,
both things?
we've got Inspire out there doing the one survey.
So the green print is coming back on March 10th.
Okay.
And then the Trust for Public Land referendum is coming back when? Same day? Really? I thought it was one meeting later. Okay. And that's going to be after the survey?
Because don't we have a timeline that we have to follow?
Because we all, the 5 of us are supposed to talk to Begin before she puts it in the field, and I believe it's not going into the field until March.
My understanding is that Pegeen would like to have her item on the 10th, if not before.
But that's not the results, is it? I don't think so. Why don't we carry on, and I will get the answer from my records
Are
and
we
come
going to
back.
make the deadline for doing a referendum?
100%, yes.
At this time, we are well within the timeline that was set up.
What's your second thing?
That was it. There were the 2 statements.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, it's up to me. So it's, I just wanted to discuss with you about presentations, how we do it. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just found it, yes. We have to keep moving because I want to have data by early March. So, there you go.
This is more just, I think we've confused, or I'll take it upon myself, have confused staff about presentations. Because when I was chair, we talked about the agenda. And, you know, I could bring forward an AR or whatever. I don't need to do that. I'm just going to ask you all, because it's not one person, you know, making all the choices for the meetings, all of us. Out of a respect for one another, my idea for presentations moving forward is that if you want to bring an outside agency in for a presentation, that you would first just put it under your name, ask the board if they want to hear the presentation, and then move on. Kind of protection for all of you too. There's been a few, not a lot, a few times I've like, where did this come from? Why are we here? Private business or nonprofit or whatever. And I just, like, where is this coming from? If we know a commissioner wants to have a presentation, I would say likely you would get all the 5, but out of respect, we all know where it's coming from. We all know when it's happening. Obviously, we have staff bringing presentations, that's fine. And our elected officials, they come in fine. But for those, nothing about the presentation today, but taking that, for example, Commissioner Bays had that as an item, so I know she wanted it, I wanted it, obviously you all wanted it, but in the future, we would just bring that and say, hey, I want this presentation. I would say, I would like to hear that. You all would say that, and then we'd bring it back. So just because I think staff was a little confused about putting things on, and of course I said, well, whoever has already asked, you know, for a presentation and they're waiting to get on, just put them on. But asking you, not telling, not taking a vote, just asking in the future, if you want to hear an outside business or agency come before us, maybe just put that under your name and say, I would like the presentation for this reason. What do you all think?
I agree.
I agree.
Thank you. That was from me. Madam Attorney.
I have nothing, thanks.
Okay, our final open to the public. Welcome again.
When I was up here before, someone said that the director was here.
Come into the mic, please.
I'm sorry. Someone said that there was the director here for Public Works.
The director was and still is here.
Is he?
He is.
Hey, how you doing? Now I know who I'm, okay. I just have like 2 minutes, not even, of what I was said
You have
before.
3 minutes.
Okay. And if I say something wrong, just get with me afterwards. Pasquale again from Denellen. I heard a lot about the LDC. I hope also that Citrus County uses the Green Book and the Land Development Code. Some general things. All roads in Florida, even Citrus County, must use the Green Book, any code that the county has, and specifications from FDOT. I did say, Ms. Davis, that I would send those pictures to you, or to all of you.
In multiple emails.
Yeah, yes, no, I won't send all of them. I'll just send some good ones, ma'am. Sorry.
No worries.
But I want you to look at the pictures, and I'm sorry you don't have them today, but the base is supposed to be 6 inches of LBR 100. The surface anywhere between 1 to 2, maybe 3 inches of SP 9.5 asphalt layer or a comparable Marshall mix. Shoulders and drainage requirements. I wish someone would come down when we have rain on that road on Wayside. I do believe it's Wayside Drive in Citrus Springs. And the systems and the road must be maintained and be free and clear, no signs of erosions and washouts and flooding. And as of this date, Wayside does not meet any of these standards by the Florida State Green Book or the LDC or even from the FDOT. I'm very adamant about getting this road fixed. Like I said, I've been here, well, at that property living for 27 years, and that road has never been fixed. There's new people moving in and it looks bad. So that's all I have to say in 2 minutes. Thank you very much.
You nailed it.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Anyone else? Okay, I will close open to the public. Reese? Nothing? Okay. It is 4:32 and this meeting's adjourned.